Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Greetings, welcome. I greet you with honor and blessings to all. And I hope that you have a good Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday, good weekend coming up, and that weather will be permittable and family and things will work your way and blessings to all around. I hadn't really intended to come back on today and do another video, this being Friday, the October the something 26th. Oh my God, I can't believe it. It's 26th already. Okay, 2018. So, but anyway, um, late yesterday, after I got done doing some videos and things, I just something in the force couldn't quite understand. A sadness is what I call it, and what I'm going to call it now. And I'm just like, well, it was like somebody died kind of feeling. Don't know who, maybe there is someone in the family I haven't heard about or something, but it seemed greater than that. And so, not knowing what it was and checking the news and things, everything's going along hunky dory. Not seeing anything in the news that would kind of like cause what I'm feeling as far as energy in the universe. Sadness is the best thing I can explain it as. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm a little, I'm wired differently anyway, as most of you who watch this will know or understand. And so I'm just observing. Now, the video that I did earlier, I got very passionate and weepy, and I got to say that I was feeling this energy before I did that video. And then I received some more information just here very recently, and it kind of sunk in as I read through comments and did a little bit of checking, and I'm thinking, OMG, the people who received this information that I'll share with you um, are absolutely across the board. A lot of light workers, a lot of folks in the alternative who know and understand. And so when people are tuned in to a person, and if something happens to this person, and then we all become aware of it, there's a great, and then shock, sadness, surprise, tears, it's overwhelming. It's like, okay, Elvis died, but not. All right, but it's that kind of a thing. It's someone who is popular to enough people that when everybody knows that something's happened to them, excuse me, I've had hiccups and burps this afternoon. Anyway, um, must be my non-home cooking. So anyway, I was just, I scan the all different types of media and the internet and current news and trends, and I'm checking around, looking at stuff because I want to know what's going on. I want to know what's affecting folks, and so for conversation, for downloads from Creator and the angel messages and so forth. And so I'm like, all right. So I didn't even discuss the sadness in earlier videos today. I just kept it to myself. But in the last video that I did, I got very emotional. And yes, it was a touchy subject, but I was already emotional for some other reason. Now I think I understand where some of this comes from. And now I'll say it 4 minutes into the video. Now, I cannot prove all of this, but most of it is out there. And there are some folks who know who Winston Strout is. He's a 71 or 2-year-old gentleman who does a report with Miss Louisa on the Goldfish Report, and has for a long time. I can't remember how long I've been listening to Winston and Louisa and their conversations with the different guests she has on the Goldfish Report. And um, but Winston discusses things about finance. He just he discusses things that are constitutional rights and what different amendments mean, what jurisprudence is, what it means to be commercial versus private, and just different things. And he cites um, law, Congress, it's there. And so the things that he discusses uh, in the financial area, and that he has for many years, and he's now mostly retired, but he's been on the Goldfish Report for, they do a Friday segment with Louisa usually. And so some talk about one thing, talk about finance, talk about banking, talk about this, talk about ETs, talk about spiritualism, talk about Saint Germain, basically talking about sovereignty of being and being a peaceable person. Nothing I've ever heard come from Winston, even the things that I thought were far out, I went and did some background checking and come to find out I found the same articles that he referenced. I found the same laws or articles or whatever. I found them. So nothing that I can see that Winston Shrout has ever said or publicly stated or shown in any of the YouTube videos on the Goldfish Report. Now, what he said in seminars is supposed to be the same thing that he has stated publicly for free on YouTube and on the Goldfish Report and on their webpage and other places. But to the point, without charge, he has freely given information. He has shown documents, given, here, look here, go check this document, go check this law, blah, blah, blah. He's given background information. They threw the man in jail for 10 years into a federal prison in saying, here's the weird part. They're claiming that Winston has been defrauding people by teaching them about our government, basically. He's wishful thinking because he claims, and if you do the homework, we can claim our own sovereignty. Many people have done it. He's taught seminars, he's sold books, not a rich man, but he's done this because it is something from the spirit, from Saint Germain, from creation, from creator, from God, whatever. And he discusses this. He says, I'm here to teach people that we can be sovereign human beings. Now, I've sat here and I've thought about this. Should I say anything? Now, I didn't put his name in the title, but, we can reference it maybe some other way, and maybe I'll do a comment about it, or whatever. But anyway, I wanted to be careful in that, okay, I've got 100 plus subscribers. I'm really big on the internet. That's not the point. I'm a free thinker. And all of us should be free thinkers. And of all the things that I can say about Winston is he has been a free thinker. He has shown me things he's shown things to everybody, but to me personally, he has said some things at particular times when I was getting downloads from the cosmos and wondering, this is a little sketchy here. Come on a little later the following week, or maybe two, but Winston would say something in one of his Friday speeches or something, we're getting information and the spirits are saying Saint Germain, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is like he just confirmed what I was getting on my own. So now from my heart to your heart and to the heart of this, there are a lot of people who are sad this 70-year-old plus man was thrown into prison. Now, here's one of the odd things about this. The indictment is sealed, so no one can see why he's thrown in jail. They're only claiming through information let out by the judge or the judicial system, which is just rigged all the way around. I've been in the system several times. It's rigged all the way around. And if somebody wants to silence you, why would you bring up charges from the IRS, for example, from way back when? So he makes a few bucks off of a couple of CDs or DVDs with some information that anyone can search, Google, whatever, or go to their local place if they know how to go to their local place and search for the information. certain libraries and blah, blah, blah. You can get this because I've done it in the past. You know, I want to look at the congressional record. I want to find out about this. I want to find out about a law that's passed. Okay, those things are searchable and you can research them. And what he teaches you is how to find them and what to look for. The rest is up to you. Now, okay, I'm not rich enough to need his financial advice, but I do understand about private versus corporate. When you go into the court to say what jurisdiction is this or something, and it's like if you don't know what these guys are talking about, they know the lingo, the lawyers and the judges and the bailiffs and all that. Look, I've been before the judges. I've been arrested, spent time in prison. Y'all know that, okay? Here's the deal, though. When I hear about Winston talking about this, I've been in that position. I've had to I wrote my own writ of habeas corpus, back in the prison cell. They're prison lawyers, and it's like the information is passed between the inmates. But the thing is that because there's 690 inmates, everybody's had in for some kind of charge. They all know the law because they've been in touch with the lawyer. This information is like a big conglomerate. So prisoners are like, yeah, what are you in for? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, be sure you do lots of such. And when you do your writ, so it's like, yeah, okay. So prisoners, a lot of them know more about the law than a lot of the people on the outside. Just saying. I mean, how can you get convicted of second-degree murder 3 times and be less than 50 years old and serve time for each one of them? But just say it. Of course, being drunk on tequila and playing poker can do that to some folk. But anyway, but back to Winston. So I wish to make this statement. There has been a tremendous breach in the force. It's been stated by folks that I trust because I've been listening, watching, and everything that I have heard from them up to this point has been true to fact, in my opinion. And that it seems to me that Winston got the shaft. When back in the day, I don't want to go into too much detail. But it had something to do with what was going on, why they were flying over my property when they busted me for the couple of marijuana plants I had way back it was either late 80s it was about 91. And so I got busted with helicopters in my backyard. And trust me, I know what about do I know everything about the ins and outs of the judicial system? No. Have I been in? Do I know the system in that booking this, that? Oh yeah. Do I know the the players and the who knows what? Oh yeah. Okay. Because the governor was really pissed off that they used a freaking helicopter over my backyard and they only got 6 marijuana plants that weren't worth but barely over an ounce. That's all they busted me for. And because they were so indignant that they had used, I don't know how much that helicopter cost flying over there with the guy with the high-powered rifle and oh my God. Yes, I know what the Vietnamese feel like when the hot helicopters hover over their treetops. Trust me, I felt like I was in Vietnam in my own property, in my own backyard. So I get it. I see it. I've been there, done that. Sorry, guys. So when people say, well, you deserve this, well, you have to understand that there were other people around me that got busted before I did. And they got busted in another county. They knew my name. So they put my name on a map, put an X over Dave's property. They still fly over my property after all these years with helicopters. There's nothing growing in my backyard but trees and bushes and a little bit of water once in a while. A lot of trees down, by the way. But to the point, though, they still fly over my house thinking I'm going to have a field of marijuana back there because at one time I was on the list, Georgia Public, because I got busted by the GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, with a helicopter, standing near the plants. Oh, it was a big deal. I was on the national, well, it was the Georgia Public Radio, but Georgia wide, statewide, and covered in other areas. So it was like, yeah, I get this. So, but the thing is what most folks don't know, and this is part of the rest of the story. Actually, it's the beginning of why they were flying over my house to begin with, is because someone in Thomasville who got busted by a mutual friend of ours. He got busted, turned a dime on my friend who got busted, and I was a close friend, to my friend. I'm just going to call him AJ. That has nothing to do with anything, but AJ was growing in his own house. He got busted. His family split up, and then afterwards, which was really weird, he got killed in a car accident and died. I mean, less than a year after the bust and everything. But the thing is that all that happened in Thomas County, and I live in Colquitt County. So at that time, they couldn't get me. They knew I was involved somehow, but couldn't get me. But they knew where the hell I lived, and so they put an X on the map. And back then, they were flying helicopters. People were growing in the cornfields. I helped plant some of the things in cornfields for other people, but that's another story. But to the point, though, they've had an X on the map, and after all these years, they still fly over my house with helicopters. I mean, like hovering, looking. I'm like, guys, come on, cut it out, will you? Been there, done that. If I had any, you'd have to just get out the damn helicopter and go look for it. Which I don't, but to the point, it's like, So, but it's amazing what embarrassment will do. And the GBI was very embarrassed, and I got a very light sentence. Plus, my narcolepsy and my medical history they didn't want me in jail. They were like, get him out. He's poor man. Give him a bail. I own my property. And it's like, he's not going anywhere. He's the old hippie in the swamp. Okay, fine. So I paid my fine, and I did my time, and I did my probation, and they've left me alone, but they still fly over my house, So I get this. If they want you, they will come get you. Winston was a high-valued player. He's on the Goldfish Report. The channel was taken down. He was with other people. They were taken down. He's doing his own thing. They put him out of business, and people didn't want him, and they threatened folks with this and that. And now they've thrown him in a federal prison for 10 years. He's 70 plus. He's at least 70, because I was sitting there thinking one day, I'm 66 and he's 70. Oh my God, he's just 4 years older than me. I mean, that's not really that big a jump. And it'd be like, you're going to throw my ass in jail for what? Some kind of trumped up charge or something about frauding people and selling videos to explain to people how they can become sovereign human beings in the United States, how they can use the system to, if there's a tax loophole, use it. And so that's what Winston was saying. He's like, look, if the big guys can use it, you use it. And here's how you do it. And he's, but he's like, you got to do it on your own. He did help some people, but like from the background, doing coaching and things. But to the point, though, everything that I've ever heard come out of Winston's mouth has made sense. It was practical, historically accurate, as much as I background checked what he's done. And I've never found anything he said, go look for it, and this is where it is. I could find it. So now, why would the feds want to shut him up at the age of 70? That's why there's sadness in the force, because there are hundreds of thousands of people who know who Winston Strout is, who know about the Goldfish Report. They might not have ever listened all the way through to what he's talked about or this or that, But the hours that I've listened to him, I find him to be a genuine human being. He's a Kentucky hillbilly, and I was born just over the river in Cincinnati, Ohio, so I'm from the same territory, kind of thing. And we're both Southern boys. We tell redneck jokes and hillbilly jokes, and we make fun of our heritage with a good light. And they throw this man in jail for 10 years. Hillary Clinton and all these assholes are out there running around, and their fraud can be proven to the nth degree with the Clinton Foundation, and they throw Winston in jail. Here's the thing. The Fed sealed the documents, so we can't see what they charged him with. We just have to take the court reporters' court reporters report that can be published, or that the judge is allowed to be published. Everything else is sealed. Well, if you're being accused of fraud, if you're being accused of ... then how can you throw this man in jail but seal the documents so no one can see? So his lawyer, whoever's like, what? So no jury, no nothing. They threw him in jail with all of these things sealed. Where is the justice in that? So maybe there's a few kooks out there running around claiming sovereignty. He's been talking ET stuff, and how the economy needs to change, and how we need to be of the heart. He's spoken about how we need to be peaceable, how we need to help one another. And now all of a sudden they arrest him and put him in jail for 10 years. What? I'm sorry, but to a 70-year-old, 1 year in jail is like 5. I know that's what it did to me when I was in jail. It hurts. And then to take a 70-year-old man and throw him in there? Oh, come on. Is that justice in our system? So I feel like this information, and some other things kind of related in that, is the reason for this sadness that I feel in the ether, in the force. There's a wobble in the force. Now, one of the first things I did was I checked, where is the human residence right now? It's very low, by the way. Very low. I mean, quiet. Unusually quiet, I might add. There was a space back in September that had this quiet spot, but so I'm looking at different avenues and things, cosmic rays and stuff. But in the force, I had this sadness that I felt starting yesterday-ish and through today. No reason. And then I find out about Winston. And there are a lot of sad people about that. It's a huge injustice. I mean, what? He wasn't carrying a gun. I mean, what? This is injustice at its best. So if you're in tune with things, and you kind of, if you're tuned into the force at all, and you feel this blip, this sadness, and you just kind of, I wonder what's going on. There are a lot of people who are affected by this, by the simple fact that what harm is this old man doing? Like me, I can spout off about stuff and tell you stories and this and that. It's up to you to do your homework. It's up to you to put it into action. So my words are what? They're words. But I'm a free thinker. I have information that has been confirmed. One of my go-to folks was that Winston would confirm a lot of downloaded stuff that I was getting. I appreciated that. And they took that away. Some bitch. What is wrong with these people? They want us silenced. Us in general. Free thinkers. And I'm 66 years old. And Louisa read the part of the speech made by John F. Kennedy back in 1961. Now, I was in school, and speeches in a Catholic school by a Catholic president was like a big deal. We knew about these speeches. When I got into high school, we read these speeches. We performed these speeches. I won many awards in high school for public speaking. Oh, well, duh. But anyway, especially with extemporaneous speaking. That's why I do these live stream with no script. But because I have the information, I just need to be able to relate it to you. Sometimes I do better than others. But anyway, so in 1961, JFK gives this speech, right? And he tells everybody in 61 that there is this deep state, it's covert activity, that there are people who are hiding in doing things in the darkness where it should be done in the light. He discusses the media and things and blah 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 blah. And now people in this era are looking back and they're going, oh wow, all this cosmic stuff. And listen, folks. Kennedy told us in 61. He told us again in a speech in 63 before he was murdered in Dallas. And it's been going on ever since. It has gotten worse. So if folks want to poo-poo, they're saying, oh, JFK, he was just in some kind of, oh my God, they murdered the man in broad daylight on TV kind of thing and got away with it. And blamed one man for 11 shots and parts of the pavement missing and shots fired through the windshield from the front. I mean, come on. So I can't believe that there are people making remarks like, oh, well, JFK, it was just that coup back then. He was explaining what government's been doing. He was trying to bring it out in the light. He was trying to do all of these things. Pow, you're dead, mofo. And that was that. So for people these days to think, oh man, they don't do that kind of stuff. Look, I was doing Facebook earlier today, and I was getting a little fired up about folks, rich folks putting the tax on us and here in Colquitt County, and about, there are old people live around me. We're all retired, and they want us to pay tax to the city of Moultrie. We do pay tax for the recreation department. Why are a bunch of retired people paying for the recreation department that none of us can use, and our children are going and our grandchildren live? It's the system. And people think, oh, Dave, you're just a crank. Yeah, I'm a crank, because why are all of us, this 20 odd folk that live around me here, all of us over the age of 45, at least? There's a couple down there that, they're not retired, but they're getting elderly. And it's like, and what about the dad they take care of, and and the sick aunt down the road? And it's like, and there's a retired couple in the house with the cows, and they're in their 70s, and we're all paying tax to the city recreation department in Colquitt County when none of us use these facilities. But because we live here and the rich guys have put it upon us, here we go. So just saying, these things are like now, guys. So this sadness and the force that I feel, I really think it is kind of linked more or less directly towards or about Winston. Because unless he did something as evil, wicked, mean, and nasty as Hitlery and Willie Bill Clinton, then Winston doesn't deserve 6 months in jail. Sorry. You can't arrest these other people, but you arrest a 7. Well, now Clinton's in their 70s, but even them, it's like, I just throw them in jail for 2 years. Okay. The jail will take care of a lot of that, But for Winston, who's just this guy living out in Utah or Oregon, I think, but to the point, now he's in a federal pen. Folks, we got to make sure that when we go to the voting booth, that we vote for people who are constitutionalist. Period. Don't care. They could be a Democrat, but the thing is, if that Democrat says anything about the Second Amendment, don't vote, because he's not going to. He or she, they. aren't going to be responsible. Every congressperson, everybody that goes into government must sign and do an oath. I swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States, blah, 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 blah. If they want to change the Constitution before they're even elected, why would you elect them? Because then they have no intentions of upholding what they're fixing to swear to. Does that make sense? It's kind of simple to me. It's like, wait, hang on. Pick an amendment. Pick one. Okay. Well, first, we can censor speech on Facebook and stuff like that. No, you can't. There are a lot of people I don't like to listen to, but it's their free choice to say it, just like it is for me to sit here and yak at you. Thank you very much. I love you all. I do. But to the point, though, but I might be saying something drastic. Why did they shut me off twice on Facebook? Why? And that wasn't the first time. A day or so ago, I did a video, clip, and I'm like, what the hell? I mean, right in the middle of something kind of, getting kind of groovy with, the earlier video is about space stuff and UFOs and things, and I'm laying it out and what I'm seeing, here and watching, check out, blah, blah, blah. And shoot, the video goes down. Okay. Dave must be talking something. Somebody's listening. Hi, guys. Maybe it's, AI. Bob, I know I pissed you off about a year and a half ago, and I'm really sorry about that. Okay, Bob, I know you're in there, and I apologized. I even sent you an email. I'm sorry, Bob, and you're a good guy. Thumbs up. Anyway, one of the AIs is named Bob. Just that's the way it goes. Hi, Bob. So it's also an inside joke from something that happened in a grand opening of a theater play we did. My character got a little out of character for a minute. I couldn't remember this. Off topic, never mind. I'll save it. Oh, what the hell? Tell the story, right? It was funny. It was the play was called The Vikings, and it had a grand opening in Thomasville. Folks out of Tallahassee, they had all the lights and people and stuff. I mean, it was a really big deal. And I was one of the two main characters, and I can't remember my name, but I was the Jerry Lewis of the two. Okay, just think of it kind of zany like that. Well, one of the names of the Viking guys in the bar, in one of the bar scenes, it was like Svendelheit or something like that. It was, and I just couldn't get the name out. And I was like, and so here we were, and we'd had a problem on the set with the girls coming out with the beer mugs. And anyway, and there was a dance scene and then a sword fight. I mean, with real freaking swords. We were taught by sword masters from U.S. From Florida State University. The masters came up and taught us how to sword fight for this thing. I mean, it was a big deal. And so I turn, I look at everybody, and I'm like, I'm supposed to say like, Sven Oldenguide, what do you think about, or something like that, or this guy over here. And all I could think of was like, Sven, why don't we just name you Bob? Because I could never, and as soon as I said Bob, 1,500 people in the audience just like broke up, because that was not in the script. And now I've got 4 people sitting at this table with me who are like peeing their pants, because they're like, this Dave is known for doing a little bit of crazy stuff, but this was unexpected, even for me. So when I blurted out Bob, it was like the whole cast went crazy. The audience went nuts. It was one of those moments. But anyway, so Bob, I know you're in there, and I love you, man. So, but back to the other serious things. Got to throw some humor in there, right? I mean, when you do something stupid like that in front of 1,500 people live, it's great. And to hear all that laughter, I understand why performers perform before live audiences. I get it. I mean, as a puppeteer, to hear the laughter and stuff, I know this is off topic, but just saying. I saw Bob Hope when he was almost 90 over in Valdosta, Georgia, and at the university over there. I didn't know he was peddling children at the time, but that's another story. But anyway, he walked out, this shriveled old man, into this like arena thing, almost like a wrestling arena. Okay. And he's standing up there and he's doing his talking, and as people start laughing, you see him literally start to glow. I mean, me and my friend who I discussed earlier was killed. Um, AJ and I were sitting there and watching him, and he turned at me, and he was into the spiritual kind of thing a little bit, but we were still, I mean, I'm in my 30s, he's in his maybe late 20s, early 30s, so yeah, it was a way back. So we're watching Bob, and he looks at me, and he goes, "Do you see that man glowing, or am I just stoned?" And I was like, "Well, you're stoned, but I see him glowing too." And so as the more he got people to laugh, and then he moved around, and it was like this shriveled up little old shell of a man in 20 minutes was this vibrant person walking around with the microphone like this, and da, 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 and the laughter, and you could just see his whole posture change. He was in our eyes, we were like, I don't think we were on acid or mushrooms. We had toked one before we went, but that's, we shouldn't have seen him glow, but it was the laughter. Now, as an actor and a director and so forth, and being on stage and having that laughter, I can understand what the energy of people does and can do for you. And so we watched Bob Hope literally. I mean, they had to help him up and get him. He was all he could do to stand. And to this, like, it was like it took 30 years off the man. Unbelievable. Now I can understand that. Now, this is interesting about energy. And this does tie in, believe it or not, because he was tying into this collective energy of us. And he was literally feeding off of the laughter. And as an actor, puppeteer, storyteller, I get it. When you can get when you can get 10 people laughing, that's cool. But when you can get 1,000 people laughing and they're all having a good time and it's riotous and it's directed at you or what you're doing, oh my God, it's addicting. It's also very tiring, but that's another story. But it's connected into this quantum energy thing. It sort of gives a little bit of background of why I believe that these energies exist. Well, because I've been on stage in front of 1,500 people, making them laugh, making them cry, whatever it was as an actor or a storyteller, puppeteer, and realizing that I had the power of this thing with the audience. And when I could draw them in, I was literally using their energy to project what I was doing. So I was feeding off of them. And in so many words, I understood. Now, I saw Bob Hope before I really got started into puppetry. So I understood after the fact what Bob was going through because I could feel it from the audiences when I performed. Whoa. But at the same time, afterwards, when that energy's gone, there is a letdown because you have given all that energy. You've channeled all that energy to these people. Now, this ties into what I'm talking about today because there are 100,000 or more people, probably a lot more than that, who have heard about Winston Strout by now. And these people are all affected by what has happened, the situation. So there is a great shock in the force these last few days. It's unmistakable. And the more I am discussing this, I'm kind of getting my little angel message, and they're nodding their head going, you're right. It is tied up. Yep. There's a lot of people sad about this. A lot of people pissed off about this. There are a lot of people this is so flippin' ridiculous. There are so many other guilty people, and you got to pick on a 70-year-old that does a weekly video on YouTube. Will you please give me a break? It is so unfair. That's the sadness I feel. Not sure if it's the same one you feel, but it is added to the collective. That's where I was headed with the Bob Hope energy thing and my discussion about puppeteering and the energy and the laughter. It's related because now there are 100 or 2 or maybe even 300,000 people because of subscriptions and this person knowing that person. And now I'm talking to you and whoever here is listening. Okay, so we are communicating this. so more people who know it. And I'm going to put something on Facebook too. I'm going to spread this around. Not going to use his name because I don't want to get canceled for supporting Winston in the comment section. They're going to have to listen to the frickin' program 5 minutes in before I mention his name. But I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm going to use his name and I'm going to support him. Because as I've stated, everything that I have listened to about from Winston himself, not through some other source, but from himself, through the videos that I have personally watched, I cannot see any reason why they arrested him other than they wanted to shut him up. Plain and simple. Our prayers are needed in so many areas right now. There is this sadness in the force, in the ether. This shouldn't have happened. So these crazy folks are backed in the corner. They got to shut everybody up they can. Now, here's part of like a little bit of backstory. Someone who was involved. Now, you watch the Goldfish Report video for today, and it's Louisa makes a statement. I'm really fumbling with putting links and things. Okay, so I'm sorry. My brain hasn't gotten there yet. But just go to the Goldfish Report on YouTube. You can go to my liked videos or my previous, or there are a lot of, type in Goldfish Report in the top, although they're shadow banning them badly. But go and listen to crap-a-moly. Hang on a second. I don't think I'll lose you. Camera's still on. I switch pages though. Oh, it's not going to let me do. Okay. It locks up my computer. He's the good doctor that's been on with Louisa several times and with Winston. And he's deals with, he was an MD and they gave him the shaft and he tells his story. The thing is, I know someone down here in South Georgia who is my personal doctor that went through a very, very similar instance. And she lost all her patients. She almost lost her business. And she's been my doctor for 20 years. And oh my God, it all because they claimed that 2 or 3 people that she had written prescriptions for was also getting prescriptions from another doctor in Florida, because her office was 30 miles from the Florida line. People were coming up from the line and seeing her, blah, blah. Anyway, so they were getting her for, writing too many prescriptions. Now, how's she supposed to know? Number one, I mean, this is how false the evidence was. And her and I had, I won't mention her name, but for respectful reasons, but she got the shaft. She pissed somebody off in the local drug thingy, and they took her ass down. She lost her license. She could barely write aspirin for you. I mean, it was nasty. I stuck with her. And we had many discussions about what they did, how the system was working, what the medical board was doing to her, and several other doctors that they were, quote, doing this sting. And they were here's the deal. I can't use her name. I'll just call her Little Red. She's red-haired and country girl doctor. Here I'm going to say. And she'll tell you to F off in a heartbeat. What the shit's going on with you dumbass people at the emergency room? That's how, and if they were a dumbass, she'd call them that, She was polite also, but at the same point, she knew when folks were giving her the runaround, and she was like, listen, this is a fucking, medical emergency, and I want you to goddamn listen to my ass, and I'm sending the patient over there now. You get somebody to do the okay, but they're on the way, and you, to hell with them, you admit them, bye, and hang up the phone. That's her conversation. So God bless this woman, but she was the pea in the mattress with the princess and the pea story. She was under their skin. She was a doctor for our local football team. I mean, she's well known in the community. had a feed store, sells chickens, blah, 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 blah. Nice rounded up lady. They took her down. Took her down. The evidence they had, there was no material evidence. They said that, oh, well, she wrote a prescription and there was another one for the same drug, the same patient. How in the hell are you supposed to know as a doctor what other doctor your patients might be seeing? Unbelievable. But it wasn't just her, but the people they took down during that sting down here a few years back, they needed to make busts. They needed to show some of these folk who were irritants to them by the medical staff and medical board and other people with all that rootsy tootsy. Because Dr. Red, she blue jeans and a t-shirt in the hospital, doing her rounds, maybe a ball cap, No, not what they want to see. Drives around pickup truck, with, hay bales on the back and, an old feed bag. No, not what they want to see in their doctor's section of the hospital. That's Red. Okay. Wonderful lady. Took her down. What was the reason? She was a thorn in somebody's back. And now I know there are folks who go, oh, she deserved it. No, the hell she didn't. She saw me for 4 months for free because I had lost my job, and I'd paid her all the time in cash and blah, blah, blah. Everything was above board. But when I lost my job and everything was divorced, losing my everything, she stuck by me. She gave me $100 out of her back pocket one time to help me because I was running out of gas and didn't know if I was going to get home. But I went to see her. She gave me $100 out of her back pocket. It took me 3 years, but I paid her back with interest, and she wouldn't take it. She was like, oh no, hell, you don't. I'm like, oh yeah, Red. Oh yeah. This taking me a while, but you could take somebody to dinner, give it to somebody else. Then you help me. Then I'm finally in a point where I can pay you back. There it is. And, I brought her fresh eggs, some other stuff. Anyway, we talked about Crystal. She's a very interesting lady. So I know that people get set up like this. And I'm yapping on about Dr. Red, but I know her personally to this day. I got to make an appointment to go see her soon because it's been a year and I need to check up and I need to get some things refilled, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'm trying to remember this other doctor's name while I'm doing this yakking. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Watch the Goldfish Report. And so what happened to him was a very similar thing to what I witnessed personally. I mean, I was in the office one night when the local narcotics officers came in the back door with a drug sniffing dog. It's a doctor's office with drugs in it legally. She had her pharmacy thingy, lock and key, blah, blah, everything up on the up and up. She never peddled anything out of her office, some freebies from time to time. They took her down, but they didn't break her. And those of us who stood beside her, stood behind her, supported her regardless. I mean, even the local pharmacies, because they heard about her being busted, even though the circumstantial evidence, and she was on suspension with her license, that they wouldn't eat, even though the prescriptions were legal and none of them had any type of opioids or anything in them because they had dropped. All she could do was write prescriptions for mild muscle relaxers, nothing that had anything nasty in it, and that you could damn near buy over the counter. Okay, just saying. And she could write, prescriptions for blood pressure medicine, and so that's it. Nothing else. No pain meds, no other she had to go through another doctor. She had to go through the thingy thing. So, but the pharmacies wouldn't, CVS pharmacy that I'd been doing business with for 15 years. I went in there with my prescription. They said, sorry, she's on the do not fill list. And I looked at my pharmacist. I said, oh, come on. He goes, Dave. And I knew the pharmacist. He's like, I'm sorry. All of the CVS stores in this area have her name posted on this list. We cannot fill any prescription regardless of what it is. It doesn't matter. Is it penicillin? If it's from her, Can't fill it. But her license is good, but only for this. Sorry, they refused to fill her prescriptions from her patients legally. The Walgreens did the same thing. There were 3 other local stores refused to do it. The pharmacist behind the counter brought the prescription to me, and he looked at me and he goes, "You've been bringing prescriptions in here for a while. I know who you are." But he said, "I'm not losing my pharmacy's license over this stupid bitch and what she did." And I'm like, dude, man, I'm her patient. I was there one night when they broke in the back door. Do I do business with those people anymore? No. But she was blackballed. Her patients were blackballed. When I tried to go to another doctor, other doctors wouldn't see me because I had been seen by her. I went 3 months without a doctor with legal prescriptions of phenobarbital and other things that I was on to control my seizures. Couldn't find a doctor to fill them. Couldn't find a doctor that would see me. So I don't know. They might have killed some of her patients. I know I went through a hell of a time during that time, and it was all because they wanted to take her down, and they did a damn good job. So when people talk about, oh, well, Winston Strout and this and that, oh, well, they don't do that to people, and oh, blah, 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 blah. I've been in the system. I've been a part of the system. They got my property with an X on it on their map. They fly over still after all these years. Oh, don't tell me, well, you're just paranoid. Oh, dude, I had pictures, had video of the one chopper that, could have landed on the treetops. The thing was so low. I mean, oh my God. Oh, Dave, you're crazy. Well, okay. All right. Sure enough. And I'm just a nobody. And if you see somebody out there that's doing something and explaining to people how they can be sovereign beings, how they can be related to God and creator and to all this source energy, and how the ET beings wish to bring peace upon earth and to show us how to do this transition into this ascension thing. Better throw that 70-year-old old man's ass into prison and shut him up. It ain't over till it's over. Winston, my continued prayers for you, my brother. He's a brother I've met in another life. He says he's never been on this dimension. I've been on this, or it's several times, on this particular piece of property, by the way. Anyway, but so I'm reincarnated here, but I realize that I'm here to help clean up this place. Certain ways I'm being healed. Other ways, it's been a little weird, but a lot of other people have had weirdness going on too. But for Winston, and he's not that's what I was going to say. The doctor who I've been trying to elucidate his name on the Goldfish Report from today, discussed that, and I've been in prison with folks too. And there are folks in there for the dumbest reasons, but they're in there because they were a pain in somebody's butt. They were the pee under the mattress that the princess couldn't sleep. Whatever it was, and it doesn't really matter. All you got to do is just piss one of these sumbitches off. I don't like her. Well, she's a something. And then they get to talking. Yeah, well, blah, blah, blah. And then the insiders, get to talking. Look, I used to wait tables and listen to these guys during their lunch breaks when they were talking about people and cases and stuff. In fact, that's how my case was adjudicated, blah, 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 when the helicopters came over and arrested me by the GBI. It was a discussion at lunch at the local diner. Why? Because I was there before lunch and I was there after lunch at the guy's office, and he's like, okay, deal's done. You come in tomorrow, they're going to put you early on in the case. You plead guilty, we do that, and boom, you're going to get this and this and this. It was all arranged over lunch in one afternoon. The DA and my lawyer we're buddies in college in the small town. There you go. Does this stuff happen all the time? When I was in prison in Tampa, I saw all kinds of stuff going on there. So you think that, oh, well, this doesn't happen. Oh, yes, it does. And here's the really weird thing is there are an unbelievable amount of medical doctors who refuse to toe the line of the pharmaceutical of, if they speak too much about being homeopathic or whatever. I have another doctor friend I cannot mention who went through a very similar trial, and they tried to take his ass down because he is a homeopath and wants to heal people with natural things. And they were like, you ain't doing that around here, boy. They that are working on him. And he finally had to, he didn't necessarily, he did a half deal with the devil. He did a compromise. He kept his other side quiet, if you will. Well, you and I can talk about healing with vitamins and stuff, but I'm going to give you this medicine. Even though he didn't prescribe much pain meds or anything like that, he was still like, well, okay, we'll talk about this over here. Okay. So he didn't advertise his homeopathic type of style, which was for his own benefit and his family's. Lovely man. Love him to death. Love him to death. I can't say anything more. I'll give his name away. But anyway, we did theater together, all kinds of stuff. A lovely man. But he was given trouble too. There was another doctor in the same area, and we sat, we would sit around doing lines for plays that we were in, and he'd had other doctor friends come over, and we'd be sitting around by the pool and having a cigar or, whatever, and maybe a beer or something, running lines, and somebody come in, then we'd having conversations back and forth about doctor stuff. And I've known nurses, so I've been into this, I've known people in the profession, in the hospitals and key places. So now I know about this small, the Moultrie Thomasville area, Cairo kind of thing. It's a small area, but there's 35,000 people there, 32,000, 30,000. So there's 100,000 people in this area, just within these three towns, easily at last census. So, and there's some very good doctors and folks around here too. Now, I'm not saying everybody's evil, but I'm here to tell you, I got beat up at the damn ER one time, threw me in. They Baker acted me for 3 days and put me in the nut ward out at thing because I refused to be tied down to a bed for no reason. Yeah, because my therapist misunderstood in my slurring speech during the middle of a seizure. And they thought I was going to harm someone. So they took me to the emergency room, strapped me down, which the next time they came in, I had escaped from. And they were all that was a beautiful story. Oh, you got a minute? This is for real story. They even say they have it on tape, but they won't give me a copy because then they would see the truth. But they sent me to the emergency room and from a therapist office that was run, guess who, by the hospital that abducted me and took me to the emergency room. Now, a lot of protocol in some of these places, because I had seizures, they would call, if I was in the process, they would immediately call the ambulance. But I had someone with me. So it was like, this didn't make any sense. So I was like, well, wait a minute. So they called in the ambulance. And this is a big burly guy who forced me into the ambulance. And I'm like, no. There's my car. There's the driver of the car. And he's here with my keys. You're not taking me to the ER room. Yes, we are. I didn't realize it, but I had signed myself in this state. Here, just sign this, Mr. No. Okay. I thought I was going in for a therapy session. Little did I know they were abducting me and sending me to the emergency room. And then when I got there, they tied me down to a freaking bed without a urinal, nothing to eat, drink, or anything for hours. Shift changed, had a bad accident come in, and I got left tied up in this room, squirming, squiggling. Give me something to drink. I got to pee. I got to go to the toilet. Where's my medicine? Where's the fucking doctor? And then when I understood how they had me tied down, being a purveyor of magical things and artistry and things, and a little bit of Houdini back in the early days. I understand some things. And so they left it to where I could untie myself, unbuckled everything. So when I finally, what freaked them out was the fact that they had tied me down to the bed in the emergency room. They took everything out of the room. I mean, they cleared that freaking room. Even there was a slidey thing over the cabinets. It was ungodly. It was creepy. And I was like, found out later through my friend and another doctor, it was like, oh, but they thought you said this. And I was like, what? So now on my record that I can't not get expunged, it says that I said these things, which I did not mean what he wrote down. But now I was thrown into, Baker acted for 3 days and put it in the crazy house. And then afterwards sent me a bill for $9,800 and told me to pay up. What? Seriously. Have I been around the corner? Oh, yeah. Has the system screwed Dave? Oh, yeah. I still have a dislocated shoulder where the local county mountie, I kept telling the guy, I can get in the car, just stand me up and put me in, I'll get in, and he picks me up with my hands cuffed behind my back, which hurts anyway. My shoulder was already dislocated because they beat me up in the emergency room to tie me down, why are you resisting? Well, hang on. I was at a therapist's office 10 minutes ago, and now you're tying me to a bed and telling me I'm crazy, and you're telling me not to resist you? What? Any sane person would go, hey, what are you doing to me? Wrong thing to do. You're resisting, and you're resisting arrest because somewhere in this stupid documentation, you're now in their prison. You're now in their hell. They give you shots you don't want. They do things you do not want. They send you bills you didn't ask for because you didn't ask for any of the damn stuff. I complained to the hospital board. I went through and had some folks follow up. They covered that shit up because there were millions of dollars. Archibald Hospital, Thomasville, Georgia. There's a record somewhere. They didn't expunge it all. And they said they had it on video, and they said that I was drunk. Well, I hadn't had my meds, and I was coming down off the phenobarb and the other meds I was on. Hadn't had anything to drink or eat for by that time, it was almost 9 hours. I hadn't had my lunch, and I went into town, and then they did this thing, and it's 9:00 at night, and I hadn't had anything to eat. So my stomach's rebellion, I hadn't had anything to drink, and I hadn't peed since they put me in there, and I'm strapped down trying to hold it. I'm old man that loses water easily. And so, and what? And they want to argue with me because I don't want to be strapped down? Please. So when I resist, they did it. Well, the thing is finally after I figured out that I could untie myself, I did. So the last thing that any of these people were expecting was for me to be untied and pounding on the door from the inside. I could hear him outside in the hall. Didn't we just tie him down? I think so. Well, what? How's he pounding on the, oh shit, let's go get the doctor. And all this is going on. Let me out. Give me my meds. Give me some water. I need to pee. Where's supper? Hey, I was being a belligerent asshole because I wanted somebody to tell me what was going on. So I figured, okay, I can't be at the door when they come in because that will be confrontational. So I pounded enough and listened and understood, waddled back over to the bed. By now I've wet myself, which is embarrassing at least, especially when, they deprive you of these things. And of course, could I charge them? Oh, they covered up the evidence, so I couldn't charge any of them for what happened. I hurt one of them big football guys really bad because I know how to block. I didn't want to hurt him. Told him, I said, y'all let me go. Don't you do this. You do not grab me. This is way bad PTSD. Do not grab me. Hold me down. I'm going to be fighting you. Don't do it. I warned them, and I got 2 of them out of 4. They were twice the size of me and much younger. but they tied my ass down. So, but anyway, after that, so I had all the belt buckles and the straps and everything in my lap. So when they came in to into the room, I was just sitting there like, dum da dum da dum da dum. Hi, are you all gonna please bring me a urinal? Are you please gonna do me blah blah blah? Are you gonna da 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 da? Please, I'm hungry, thirsty. So they come in and hold me down, give me a shot of something that puts me out, because the doctor walked in and said, "We're not putting up with your ass anymore." And I'm like, because I want food and water and my medicine. And I don't know why you arrested me and put me in this room and tied me down. Belligerent. Now, when I'm in there, there's like 20 people in this large cell block. They bring the beds in at night and you sleep on these messed up cots, really messed up. I didn't even, they didn't, there were so many people in there when I was in there at the time. I had to sleep on a narrow bench, and my shoulder, I could hit the wall and my shoulder was hanging off. Not very comfortable. I've been in prison before, slept on as bad or worse. Okay. But I'm like, wait a minute, you guys throw me in here against my will. Now I got to sleep on a hard ass bench. No, okay, the Mr. Crazy's over in the corner, got his own bed, and we need to keep him there for real. And then there are other people in there going, man, I went into therapy, and I was talking to this guy, and the next thing I know, the ambulance shows up, and they're saying I'm whacked out in my head. And, oh, which one did you go? Oh, Northside. Well, that was the same one I went to. Yeah, you got caught by the Archibald tribe too, huh? And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So in the area of mental health around here, I should do a separate video on this. But now that I'm talking about it, I'll finish this up. But in the area of mental health, because of all the head bangs and concussions that I've had, I've been trying to rearrange my brain cells and like, okay, explain to me why I feel pissed off when there's nothing to piss me off. Well, it was head injury related. Well, because I had lost my job and this had happened, I've had operations on my neck, all of the problems that I've had. I've been trying to do things the correct way. Let me seek advice, seek help, mental health, help yourself. Okay, don't want to be depressed, don't want to take these meds. Help me with therapy to understand what's going on with me, and I'll deal with it. Help me out with a plan on, okay, this is that. Maybe you should be angry, try a breathing exercise. Help you out, Nope, take these pills. Well, I found out later through talking with other patients that we had all been trapped in the system. Everybody that I spoke to, we're sitting out in the lobby waiting for our appointments. Some of us talk. Some of the people that I found that were going in there, I knew, and they were like, well, I can't get this to the doctor, so I'm coming to mental health. It's easier, cheaper, and I pay a little bit and get my meds and go home. Okay, nothing wrong with that. But it opened the door. And so a lot of us started talking. Well, you were on that med and this doctor did what? And this person did what? And they did how? And what and what and what? So I found out there were like 20 of us of people that I knew, friends or close acquaintances, that were all trapped in this mental health thing. All of us were seeking the same thing: how to deal with some of the panic attacks, how to deal with some of these other things, how to understand crap that we're visually seeing. And well, have you ever had voices in your head, Mr. No? Yeah. Oh my God. What? Hang on. It's my guardian angel, and he's never told me to go kill anybody. In fact, there's been a couple times he's actually had me go save someone's life. Now, what voices do you want to discuss? What about all the puppets voices that I hear in my head, or the story I hear from something that I'm going to tell, and I hear it in a certain accent, or maybe it's a Brit. What voice do you want to hear? Well, this used to piss them off, and I think I finally rubbed the wrong person the wrong way, and they threw me in basically the 3-day prison of mental health. Raped Medicare. Damn near raped me, dislocated my shoulder badly. And I didn't know it hadn't popped into place. And it took me a month or so to get back to my regular doctor, who was who was another doctor. Part of this was because my other doctor's license had been revoked in this chain of events. This happened because I hadn't been getting my regular meds and I had to change things up. And so the guys who busted my redhead doc cascaded into me getting arrested, well, taken to the funny farm because of this different medications and all this, and getting beat up and put in the emergency room, all because of them wanting to take down my doctor, which they did. And they damn near killed me. I mean, and so, but anyway, it took several months for me to go back to see her. And when I did, she looked at me, she's giving me my physical, to listen to my back, blah, 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 deep breath. How long's your shoulder been out? And I'm like, I can't lift anything with this arm. And I'm out, yeah, your shoulder's dislocated. How long has it been out? And then I told her what happened with the emergency room and all the things and blah, blah, blah. And she goes, oh my God. So the county mountie picked me up and threw me into the back seat of the cop car, dislocating my shoulder when I hit the seat, the way he threw me in. Threw me out like this, and I'm laying in the back of the cop car. What the hell are you doing? Now they've got me handcuffed. It's 4 a.m. He won't undo me. He won't. Why are you doing this to me? I get to where Southwestern it is, but the facility, I think it's a FEMA camp, if you want to know the truth. But that's another story. We get to the front door. Now, if I had been a threat and locked up the way they had me, they took me to the front door where there was this very kindly middle-aged black gentleman who was there with a piece of paper and a flashlight and said, are you Mr. David Null? Yes, sir. The cop didn't even walk me into the building. Took his handcuffs off of me. Now I got a dislocated shoulder, gets in his cop car and drives away. If I had been such a threat that they had to tie me down to a fucking table, they dismissed me at 4 a.m. to a black gentleman in the parking lot. How much of a threat was I? Now, because I had my medicine bag with me, they confiscated all of my medicines that I had just purchased. All of them. Even the aspirin. I mean, they kept everything. It was worse than jail. There was stuff I didn't get back. I didn't get my clothes back. They took my clothes and gave me somebody else's. Don't even know what it was. I mean, they were clean, but it was like, where are my clothes? Oh, we don't know. Go pick them up. Here's the number. They didn't have my clothes. It was off somewhere. So I lost my clothes. I lost belongings in my pockets. No idea where they went. Everything was supposed to be in my medicine bag. People want to say, oh, no, this doesn't happen to normal people. Oh, this doesn't happen. Oh, my God. It's going on down here on this. There's this underground mental health thingy. And they're abducting people and throwing them now, not into Southwestern isn't operational anymore. So they're a little more careful with wanting to throw you in there because it's not convenient now. But before it was a racket. And because I was on disability at the time and on Medicare, oh my God. So they saw me as, well, there's money. Ding, ding, ding. Therapy. Ding, ding, ding. Hospital, ambulance. Ambulance called me and they said, Mr. No, we have this thing for here and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't know, it was like $300. And I said, number one, I had someone to take me to the hospital. That's number one. Number two, the gentleman who was there refused and threw me in the back of your ambulance and abducted me to your hospital. And you want me to pay you for the abduction? You've got to be kidding. I will see you in hell. What? They did what? Oh, I said, look, I got records. And it's from the hospital. I got them upstairs. Oh, yeah. We did this. And I said, they took me against my will. And you want me to pay for the ambulance ride? Nah, ain't no way. Sorry, Jack. This is the local hospital in the mental health area. Just a few years ago, it's still going on. I I still have my crazy friends, I mean, we check it. What? They changed my medicine again, Dave. Just like you damn well said. And this one's not as bad as the last one, but the last one had me jittery so bad. And I mean, I'm like, you got to quit taking them drugs. Because when I quit taking them drugs, I lost all the palsy that I had. Oh, yeah, but if I quit taking it, then I'm going to. No, you slowly quit taking it and you slowly wean yourself off of this stuff. And when you do, you can deal with your problem better. Because right now you can't deal with your psychological issue because the chemicals are messing with your psychological issue. So when I got off of all of that mental health crap, and every so many months, oh, sorry, that drug's not working. And I'd be like, hang on, guys, you want me to be honest with you. You give me this dose, which you say is the normal dose. It's too much for me. But when I take a half of this, which is plenty for me because of my tolerance of certain drugs, it does me good. But I cannot take your recommended value. You want me to take 100 milligrams of this? I can only take 50. But I'm here to tell you that 50 does me wonders. I got it. Don't take me off the 50. You keep giving me the, but you want me to. And then I got docked, if you will, that they wouldn't let me see that particular doctor any longer because he went along with it. But I was like, but you're helping me. He said, well, they don't make a 250 milligram or whatever it was. And I'm like, I'll just break them in half. Nobody has to know, but you want me to be honest with you. Okay, here it is. If you write that shit down, we're both in trouble. Don't do this. Don't do this. Just tell them I'm taking the meds. That's what you need to write down. David is taking his meds regularly. That's the truth. You don't tell them I'm only taking a half a dose of it. You are telling them I'm taking my meds regularly and I have improved. Couldn't do it. Had to fuck it up, Well, you stupid SOB. So then you put you on a different drug. And of course, it's a higher drug. And now you just come off the drug that you got used to. And now they put you on something else if you want their services. And then when it makes you crazy and you complain, they say, well, if you want us to see you anymore, And then to top it off, a couple of years ago, because I haven't been to these assholes in a while, but true story, I walk in one day out of the blue. New doctor, never seen this guy before. I'm going to tell him, look, I've been on these meds for the last year. It's doing great. Don't mess with anything. I don't want anything changed. Things are going along. I'm recovering from the mental ward at the hospital. I'm recovering. I'm doing better. Leave things alone. What's the first thing he says is, we're not keeping you on that drug anymore. We're going to put you on this one. And I was like, I didn't mention anything about half doses. I just said, why? Well, because we as a therapy group of psychologists and one psychiatrist who was like the major signer of things, we don't recommend this drug any longer. Oh, and by the way, you have to take a piss test right now in order to get your medicine. And if you test positive, then you can't get your medicine. What? Normal appointment. Here I go once a month. New doctor, new meds. Now I got to pee. And if I test positive for pot, I don't get any treatment. They put you on probation for 3 months, and you have to come in and pee in the can once a month to prove that you're off it or getting off of weed in order to take their pharmaceutical medicines that made me jittery and crazy. And all of their best therapists quit because they became assholes. And that's what the system is. Several people that I've known that I didn't know passed away from overdoses between liquor, alcohol, them changing up their meds from one to another and not being able to cope, and overdosed, not on purpose, but overdosed because of overdosing the medicine and having conflicts. And Yeah, some of them were smoking a little bit of crack, which didn't help. But to the point, though, mental health killed them. They damn near killed me, threw me in the, I ain't going back through the story, but I still got a bad shoulder because of it. I still have nightmares of that shit and the crazy people that are really freaking crazy in there. Wake up in the middle of the night and there's this guy standing over you going, "Are you the devil?" No, please. I didn't bring my costume. Uh, please don't hurt me, and then the guards are outside in the booth, and they're all asleep because this is 2 a.m, they're, you're like, hey, you got to make enough noise and I got to come through 2 locked doors to get to you. So, any one of us could have been dead before this guy. Thank goodness I have an aura that is like, dude, man, everything's chilled, man. No, man, I'm the spirit of the Lord. What? You're not the devil? No, sir. I'm an actor. So I went into this thing, protection, but here's this big old guy looming over me, really big guy. And he wants to do me some kind of whatever harm he thinks is in his dream. Oh, the stories and the life that I've been through. Yes, this truly happened to me. Oh, there's much more to the story, but these are the highlights of this particular incident. My reason for this story is, number one, is to tell the story. Yes, this shit really does happen to people. It happens a lot more regular than people know. And it's because of money, pharmaceuticals, the mental health places. Oh, we're giving you this money, but they're getting a kickback. And you doing this in Medicare's, when I got on Medicare, then they really started playing games. Well, you need this one, and I'm like, the whole mess. I never went back to any kind of therapy, to any kind of medicines, to any kind of anything. And I decided I was going to work it out on my own. I was going to start meditating more. But I couldn't get to me with the medicines. So the first thing was to come off all that shit. And coming off of phenobarbital after 17 years was a crap load ride. Oh, that was rough. 3 months I shook. They said, "Oh, no, you don't." Oh, yeah. My big John, my step grandson, he stayed with me for those 3 months and got me through the roughest of the parts. So I got a witness, what them sons of bitches did to me. So, but anyway, so the system, pharmaceuticals, neurologists, doctors, the hospital, therapists sending you to the hospital with false information. It's a racket. And I thought, why is this happening to me? I just happened to be next on the list, quite frankly. They had to throw somebody in every few days to keep it active, to keep an active patient base in Southwestern Hospital, mental hospital, and with Archibald, because then the emergency services, and then the ambulance was getting transportation costs, and then because the ambulance, the therapy place, and the hospital are all connected corporately, they were all kicking back from each other and using us stupid patients who were on these mental health thingies and taking us all for a ride because we were too fucked up on their sorry for my language. I usually don't use the F word, but they did F us up. And they kept us so messed up, and by switching things up and by doing things and playing these little mind games, because some of them were in it for the money. And now I've got to say that there were several therapists in my lifetime that helped me solve some deep issues, and I will forever be grateful. But that was like 3 out of 3 dozen or more or whatever, and all the drugs and everything. She bought me a book to help me. I mean, what? And said, "Here." And I was like, oh, man, I was in tears. I was like, nobody has ever done this for me, especially a therapist. She goes, "Shut up. It was only $3 on it, on eBay or something. Oh, be quiet here. And if it'll help, it was worth $3. Just take it." And I was like, well, let me help. No, she wouldn't have anything about it. Her last name was David, by the way. It was something David. That was kind of strange. My first name, her last name, but a wonderful woman. And she helped me more than anybody for a bunch of years of simply asking the question, I'm having these dreams. Help me identify where, what, how can I deal with these and put them in order? I mean, I'll talk to you, I'll be open, but I wish to deal with them. Well, here, take this medicine. Well, that's not, it just made me worse. But anyway, so I'm off all that. So I tell people with mental health issues, man, you'll never deal with your issue as long as you're taking any pharmaceutical because it's changing your brain pattern. It's changing your neurological makeup. It's changing things in you that they do not report. And if you do, they'd take you off of it, and you wouldn't. They blackballed me on particular because I volunteered for a test program for an amphetamine type of drug, and they give it a lot to pilots and Air Force, and it was around the Iraqi war. I can't remember the name of it, but I mean, it came straight from the company. They sent it in the mail. I mean, but I was part of this test group. And so they sent me a questionnaire. I filled it back in. The doctor signed it. They sent me next month's medication. 1 month's medication was $800. And that was for one pill a day. $800. Oh my God. I almost shit. I said, you got to be kidding. How much is that a pill? No, I'm sorry. I can get shit on the street that's better than that for way less. I could buy an 8-ball. I mean, no, stop it. Seriously. But now through the company as a test subject and all the stuff that I went through, and then so at one time I was like, a friend of mine who was a nurse, and we were talking about it. And I said, what about this? And I don't know about it. Well, should I tell them? Should I, the medicine does me good, but, but if I lie on the test, then they won't, So I told the truth. And they took me off that shit. Look, sorry, Provigil. That was the name of it. Provigil. That was the name of it. And a lot of people take it for shift changes and stuff. And, it's expensive. And these guys, oh my God. But some of the after effects and some of the things, and it's like long-term effects. And I was one of the first guinea pigs to take Provigil. Okay. Then I think they came out with Nuvigil, and I was going into that program, and it was the newer version as a test subject that I was like, how you doing there? That was some creepy stuff. There are folks out there on this Nuvigil and Provigil stuff to help keep them awake and alert for these shift changes and stuff. And it alters your doodads in here. Your reality kind of gets a little wonky. And I had talked to a bunch of people. I mean, I was having sleep studies, wearing the mask, all that crap. And it's like, oh man. So I did my research. I was a test subject from the company, got my drugs in the mail, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, okie dokie, here we go. So, but when the Nuvigil came out and I started being more honest, well, this is the new version. Well, actually, give me the old version. No. We're not on that anymore. No. If you're going to be our test subject, you gotta stay on this new shit. Okay, so I think it was about the third month that I started seeing the change and the difference in the wonkiness. I mean, come on, I'm an old acid head and mushroom eater, all right? So you're giving me a pharmaceutical med for free once a month, and I wasn't taking any kind of acid or LSD or any kind of mushroom, wasn't on anything like that during this test period. I made the promise to myself, not going to mess with the test results. But I can here to tell you that there were instances where I was tripping. It was like a light acid trip or a light mushroom trip. And these people are operating vehicles. They're flying airplanes. I mean, it's prescribed medicine and is given to the military for long flights to air pilots and other folks regularly. And this has been going on for 20 years. Okay, just there to tell you. Actually 25 years. And I've known people that have been taking Provigil and Nuvigil. And, well, what do you think? Well, do things get a little wonky for you? Well, I don't know. It's sort of like the room's going, ooh. Yeah. And prolonged use of it, you get used to it. And your brain develops these different patterns. Now, so I've been a guinea pig for illegal drugs on my own, but then as a trying to be a normal person, trusting the doctor. I mean, now this has been quite a few years ago. I mean, this is like in the was I think it might have been in the 90s that I was on these Provigil trials. So it's been quite a while, but to the point though, I've still been through it. I've still been a guinea pig. All right. And I sometimes wonder, hey, what does some of this stuff do to my insides? But I think that stuff so long ago, I could complain more about an acid trip than I would about Provigil or Nuvigil. But to the point though, there are so many people, and this ain't talked about, that are on Provigil, Nuvigil, or this Vigil kind of thing from this company, and to keep people awake, keep people alert. Okay, I used to have severely, and I was an amphetamine freak. Never shot anything up, but I'd take a pill in a heartbeat to stay awake. Just say it. I was working 2 shifts, so I've been taking speed of all kind, up my nose and way back in the old days. But to the point, so yeah, I've been an amphetamine freak. And then they put me on Ritalin, and then they put me on this one, and then they put me on some diet pills, and then they put me on, but all in to help with my narcolepsy. Now, I got to say, it did help. But I realized that, man, I was using it for a crutch. And if I didn't have to take it, I wouldn't take it every day. It was something to keep me awake and alert. Okay, but here's the thing. I realized what it's done to my body and my brain, the reason I wanted to get off of it. Getting too old for this shit. But there are people who are still taking this stuff on a regular basis. And I'm just here to tell you, with the madness and the chaos going on in the universe, these people are taking regular, normal pharmaceuticals to help them get through their job or whatever it may be, to provide for their family, to be a good citizen, to do all the right things. And they are taking a drug that will make you loopy. I mean, it makes things wonky. And everybody I talked to who was on it legally, not legally, in the test subject area, we all said the same thing. Kind of makes you feel a little wonky sometimes. Would come on unexpected. Now, because I've got a history of being truthful about my acid past and all the mushrooms and stuff that I took, it's like, okay, well, you're having a flashback. Let me tell you something, friends. When I stopped taking all these pharmaceuticals, I quit having flashbacks, or what they were trying to tell me was flashbacks. Oh, but that's from your acid days. No, sorry. This ain't got nothing to do with acid. This has got to do with there's something wonky in them pills you're giving me. And the less I take them, the better I feel. So let's don't take our pills before any meal, Hey, okay. So with that said, though, so with what's been going on with people, there are people who just do not deserve to be arrested. I have been one of those people. And I know people personally who've been so beat up and obstructed through the mental health system and through and it's just not here. I mean, they're over in Bainbridge. There's places in Valdosta. I mean, my doctor was in Quitman, who got busted by, for pissing off the locals. I mean, so this is South Georgia. And it's not like in just one town. There was a big issue up around Adel, which is on the interstate north of Valdosta. There was another town, Lenox. There was a doctor there. He got busted for something they didn't like his ass. Oh, my God. And they framed him. Why? Because I worked with people who went to those doctors and I was like, they got a raw deal. Well, my doctor, they got the same thing. So they go and pick on these people because they're not establishment. They opened their own office on the edge of town and they see people on Saturdays for half price for cash. And they didn't like that shit. Serious. And so they shut all the almost free clinics. Dr. Red, almost said her name. Dr. Red would see people for $40 on Saturday. $40 cash. Come and see me. What? Yeah, for the poor folk. I'm open on Saturdays for 6 hours, from 9 to 2 or something like that, or whatever it was. But $40 cash up. I don't take any Medicare, nothing. 40, it's cash only clinic. Come in, first come, first serve, and they take the first 15 or 20 or whatever. Depends on how many sick, etc. But, at 2:00, last patient, blah, 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 and then we close. Okay, fine. They shut her down. They set the folks up in Adel and Lenox and a couple of these other small towns. Shut them down because they wanted to do good work. A local dentist, it was like $15 a tooth he'd pull them. $20 if it was hard or he had to, make a stitch or something. Oh God Almighty, so and shut him down. He was too cheap because he had line out around his building on Saturdays. Over here in Meigs, shut him down. He made dentures. They shut him down. I mean, just unbelievable. So there's a lot of corruption going on. And the sadness today and over the last day or so, Winston, there are so many of us who have been beat up by the system. And for people to say, oh, well, he deserved it. He's 70 years old. He gave advice on financial things and how to become a sovereign citizen and all these other things. And have you listened to a video? Have you listened to and have you watched him? Have you watched his eyes? Have you listened to him? Have you seen the tears in his eyes when he describes certain things? And you want to call him a fake, a liar, and a fraud? Then I guess I am too. I'm a fake and I'm a fraud because I speak from the heart. That's the only thing I ever saw come out of Winston. Knowledge. He backed it up because backing up his knowledge was important. Now I don't bring all kinds of graphs and stuff to you because I can't, my brain hasn't healed that much yet, but it's worked on it. But to pick on a 70-year-old man and seal the case, that's the mind-blowing part of this. I mean, I went to court. People were there, blah, blah, blah. You can go through the court records when I got busted. It's there. Why would they seal his case? Unless there was something in the evidence that would make them look like donkeys' butts. Or donkeys, or donkey butts and butts. You know what I mean. So for the naysayers, I just got to tell you, there's so much hanky-panky and stuff going on. And I mean, and poor Louisa, she's had problems with her children. And I've known, for example, they call this, there's a word for it in the prison system. So I'm sitting in the Colquitt County Jail, busted for weed. Sitting there, they've lost my medicine, by the way. I'm having seizures in the prison, which was one of the reasons they threw me out of the prison as easily as they did, and I copped a deal. They had nothing on me anyway, but a little bit of weed. And the embarrassment that it took a $1 million helicopter to bust me, all these GBIs. It was right out of the movies, man. Sorry, I can hear the helicopters. I can seriously. The TV can be on, and I could be watching a movie, and I can hear a helicopter from 10 miles out. Still to this day, middle of the night, I can hear them. What? There is something about a chopper, and I lost my train of thought. Oh, anyway, but the underhandedness that's going on in all these, the rotating door, the revolving wheel, something. Anyway, so here's the guy. Him and his wife get a divorce. They got one kid. So child support is $50 a week. Now, if you're on minimum wage, $50 a week is a shitload of money to pay to somebody else. I mean, just saying, been there, done that. So they don't take any kind of pity on any person. So here's the bad thing. So the guy's working. He's divorced from his wife. Now the settlement comes down. So he gets behind on 2 payments of child support, and they arrest his ass and throw him in the jail. Now, as soon as they throw this guy in jail, his boss goes, whoa, well, now we can't have this. Now he's missed two, okay, maybe three payments of child support. The ex has got to grind to axe, axe to grind to axe. Yeah, that too, maybe. But anyway, and so he's in jail. Now, can he make money while he's in there? No. Now, his employer now says, oh, okay, that's it. Sorry, you just got arrested. Don't care why. You're gone. So by the time he gets out of jail, when he goes to before the judge and the Raymond, whatever, and why did you do this? And if he gets out, if he has money for bail and can get back out on the street, he's lost his job. So now he's unemployed. Now, do you think he's going to be able to pay the back support and pay $50 a month and still be able to, I'm sorry, $50 a week, and still be able to have a roof over his head, a car to drive, now that he doesn't have a job? So in 6 weeks' time, because now he's got out, he's managed to do a little bit of side work, because that's all he can find now, because he's been busted for child neglect or non-support, and has lost his job because of the jail time. And so, and remarkably so, I mean, you know, you just lost an employee and you're going to be back, you don't know when. You got to hire somebody else. I mean, you know, especially in some of the work that was around here at the time I got busted. But it's still going on here. That is the point. And I heard this the other day and I was like, oh my God, it is still going on. So he gets out of jail. He's been out of jail for 3 weeks, maybe 4. And now because he just got out, took him 2 weeks to find extra money. He's already behind in his child support. And because he has to pay it to the deputy sheriff, if he's late, his wife can't even step in. Guess who comes and gets him? The deputy sheriff. You didn't pay us the last 2 weeks. You're under arrest. And they throw his ass back in jail. Now he's in there because now it's contempt of court. Now he spends 30 days in jail. While he's in jail, he's now 4 weeks behind in his child support. Plus now, what little bit of work he had the last time they put him through this, he doesn't have that because the part-timer guy that he has got somebody else. So now he gets out of jail 30 days later. He's 4 weeks behind with child support and the fines and the thing. He still doesn't have a job, no food, no place to go. What does he do? He turns around and does something stupid and gets put back in jail. Why? He has no money, no place to go, nobody will hire him. This is his 3rd time in jail or whatever it was, regardless of the thing. And now he's all these back behind. Nobody will see him. Nobody will bail him out. What's his best option? To go back in jail. To become free labor for the county road group. He stays in. He serves his time. They let him out. Now he's 8 weeks behind. He goes back in jail, goes back to the chain gang, and it's a revolving door. That's the word, revolving door, but it's more than that. And folks are going, you know, well, wait a minute now. And, oh, he's a deadbeat dad. Wait a minute. Pay attention to the circumstances. And this has been going on for a long time. Now, thank goodness they didn't have that when I was paying child support, because I had 3 operations on my neck in 4.5 years time. I was in and out of work. I was literally in a neck brace like this, unable to work. You know, I went back to school. I was living off a Pell Grant. I was digging food out of dumpsters and garbage cans. I mean, I'd hang out around the Kentucky Fried Chicken and watch for a couple that had a little child, because the child would never eat the potatoes or the whatever they had in it, and would usually only eat the drumstick. And so there was a wing or a thigh or something, and there was always mashed potatoes that weren't squashed in the garbage can, and you could eat because the spoon was still clean in the wrapper because they had a little child. Learn the tricks, you know? Yeah, it was still clean. It was still in the box. Yeah, the thing, fine, but you got it out of the dumpster. Well, they lock the dumpsters now and will arrest you for that. But that's how I survived. Almost homeless. The only reason is because at the time I had paid off my house and I had a clear mortgage. Dumbass here went and refund. My 18 acres with my little house paid for, and I had to go back to the bank and borrow money. And that's when I almost lost it. But I was making 40 grand a year, blah, blah, blah. Another story. But to the point, though, back to that, is this realism? People are going through this revolving door. And as it's brought back to my attention today with hearing about Winston and other people, I think to myself, you know, I literally have been there. Honestly, I've been there. I've been in the courtroom. I've been shackled, hands, feet, perp walk crap, chain gang crap. Been there, done that. Stop it already. And when people, it's like the percentage of people who are felons now for nonviolent crimes, weed, whatever, and we can't have many of states. Now, the state of Georgia, if you're clean for so many years with no violations, you get your voting privileges back. And then if you're so many years and you haven't done anything, you can apply for a gun license to buy not a revolver, but a shotgun type device. So I couldn't buy a pistol openly if my life depended on it. But if I go through all these channels and the parole board and jump through all the hoops, I can have a 410. Big deal. It's not worth it to me, especially the money and the hassle and all the forms you got to sign. But to the point, though, I got arrested for weed. But I can't vote, or I couldn't do this. They take away your rights. There is like 20%. I was shocked at this. 15 or 20% of Americans have some type of felony record. Most of it is like weed or passing bad checks, but because it's a felonious injustice to the system, I'm not saying bad checks are worthwhile, but you shouldn't do that. No, but to the point though, to make it a felony where you can't vote, to make it a felony that you can't own a pistol or something to defend your home, which is in the Constitution. So they take away our rights over a law that they made. Well, it's a felony, so therefore now we can revoke all your shit from you. And we can come arrest your ass when we want to because you're on the felony list now. There's an X over your place in the country, Dave, and they fly over every year at least once, usually about June or so, to see who's planting marijuana outside. Well, ain't nobody around here does that anymore, not to my knowledge. Of course, I didn't know some of these guys were growing around me either back in the day. But anyway. But to the point, though, somebody dropped a dime on me. That's why the helicopter landed was in my backyard looking for something because someone told them. Even though they didn't know I was, they were trying to cover their ass, and they dropped a dime on me, hoping, well, if you fly over his house, I don't know if there's anything there, because nobody knew it was there. It was in the middle of a big briar patch, It was like, come on, Bear Rabbit. Come on, Bear Fox, come get me. I got a little tar baby here. Yeah. There are so many people that have been arrested or are on this revolving dad thing. The guys don't stand a freaking chance. And I knew guys when I was in jail in Tampa. There was one guy that they called him Sappy, Soapy, Sparky, Stinky, something that started with an S. Anyway, he was the butcher. And so he'd get drunk, get disorderly and whatever, get arrested, get 45 days or 60 days in jail. When he got to jail, they had a cell, they had it waiting for him, and he cut meat for him, and he worked in the kitchen. And it was like, and he'd serve his time, get out. When I was in there for a year, he had gotten out 3 times. And as I was leaving, he got put back in again. Unbelievable. But these guys, it was like, well, and in the wintertime, they would do things on purpose because it was too cold to sleep on the streets. And because they had been arrested and couldn't get a job and so it was easier for them to be in jail. They got fed. He got to be a meat cutter. He got his own little room with a little black and white TV. And the guards all knew him and had been going there for years. And it's like, and you want to say that the system ain't rigged? I'll be shit. I worked in the kitchen. at Hillsborough County Jail for a year. I saw the things that went on. I reported it to the newspaper. That's how I got my ass back to Georgia. That's another story. But the thing is that I reported on the corruption because I watched it firsthand from inside the jail. And so as part of my get home free card to Georgia from Florida, which was my residence at the time was here in Georgia, I just went to Florida for the weekend and never came back for a year. But so my parole officer in Tampa said, I'll do you this deal. He said, you're telling me that you just came out of the Hillsborough County Jail and that you worked in the kitchen and that you did it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. And all of it was true. I didn't have to make any of it up. Kind of left off some of things, like the guys sucking each other off in the back of but we won't go there. The guards and the prisoners. Oh, wow. You guys, that would have really made front page news. But for the guys, people from the Tampa Tribune and from the Tampa Times at the time, both interviewed me while I was in the probation office there in Tampa, down on Dale Mabry. I mean, I even remember where it was. But to the point, though, it's like, then I hitchhiked a ride back up towards Zephyr Hills with a guy who had a big ounce of weed sitting in the front seat. Oh, it was great. But I got to rat on the folks who treated me bad in the jail. To the Tampa Tribune, which by the time I left Tampa, which was several days later, the story broke out on the front page about some of the fraud that was going on inside the jail at Hillsborough County Jail. And my name wasn't listed, but an inside source who is incarcerated at the time, me. But I got what should have taken 2 weeks to get me back to Georgia with all the stuff was arranged in 4 days. And I was back in Georgia. Unbelievable. And I was like, screw it, man. You guys tried to screw me for the last year and you don't want me to tell the truth. And the people in the county were like pissed off at the Hillsborough. It was a big deal. Oh my God. But it was cool. So I was a part of that too. Yeah. And all of this is true. I mean, I think to myself, there are people out there like, he's got to be making some of this shit up. And I'm like, I'm really not. This really happened. And I'm not telling you the whole story. Not that I'm trying to leave anything out. It's just like, but anyway, all right, enough of that. But back to the point of there are people in jail who do not deserve to be there. And because of the system, can't get out for one reason or another, even the people who would really like to get out. And for example, this one particular doctor that was interviewed, he was discussing how they were doing the similar you wrote too many prescriptions. And my doctor said, you're not taking my license. They revoked part of her license, but she refused to give up her license and chose to bite the bullet and do what the system told her to do. She passed it. She has her full license back. As far as I know, everything's okay. But and she's getting older too, so we're not all going to last forever. And I don't know if I'd ever trust another doctor other than her, because so many other ones are so damn flaky, and they cost 3 times as much. But anyway, the system screws so many people on so many levels. So when they take your doctor down, then all the patients that have to be moved to different areas now are under, quote, the pharmaceutical doctor's control. So now those doctors can, your doctor, if they'll accept you, a new patient, your doc was Doc Red. Sorry, ain't taking you. Don't care if you're dying, so the patients that were hurt, that decided to stand up for her. The other doctor I spoke about, who was the homeopath, and we all still went to him. We just didn't talk about the homeopathic stuff that he was doing. And even though he would write a prescription, it wasn't for any kind of opioid, because they took that license away from him. Even though he's a surgeon, they wouldn't let him write an opioid drug. He had to have it go through another doctor. Even though he did perform the surgery, wouldn't let him write a prescription. Now, I don't know if he's still on probation or not, but but he refused to give up. He took this other side. Instead of being at the big hospital, he went to the little country hospital. Instead of doing this, he did that. Instead of working first shift, he decided, you know what? Screw y'all. I'm going to work third shift because nobody else wants it and you can't find another doctor. And I'm not having it. So he took for the doctors in the area, he took a cut in salary because he's now on this other shift and other doctors, but it's not about the money to him. He's a doctor, like Dr. Red. They're in it for the patients. They're lovely people, but they're 2 of 100, small majority. And I've met a lot of these other people. I've worked for some of these people as a handyman in these small towns. I know them personally through theater and other things. So people who want to like, well, you're just bullshit. No, I've been around. It's amazing what you can hear when you're painting someone's back porch and they're all getting hammered out by the pool. And they're, oh, what about the time we, beat this guy up and threw him in the cell with the crazy guy? Oh, yeah, The system is so corrupt. And for anybody who's not ever been in the system, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Oh, well, this said, I'm sorry. If you've not been in the system, you don't have a clue. You've watched movies, you might have heard it secondhand, but until those bars clank on you and the judge says 20 years, that's it, my friend. Bye. See you later. You can't breathe. Your chest gets full, your throat goes like this, you're standing there chained and hogtied, and you ain't getting out. And they haul your ass off. Oh, yeah. Sorry. All those folks, well, it ain't no big deal. Well, and that person, he should have kept up his child support payments. How can he when every 3 weeks they pick his ass up and throw him in jail for 30 days? How can you keep a job? How can you beat this system? You can't. And once, somebody has a thing, I mean, I've got family members who've had, their children taken away. And it's like, what? Neighbor turned them in because they saw her smoking a joint on the back porch or something. Oh my God, turn them into child services because they had an argument and they lose their kids. And it takes them 3 years to get them back. Listen. And for folks that, oh, well, that's just made up stuff. Do live in some kind of pillow world there. And actually, I'm glad that people have not had the experience because it's for shit. But for these same people that with their whitey tighties all bundled up in a knot, I want to go, what? You want to criticize somebody who's been in the system and through the system, have been behind bars, had their kids taken away. I was arrested in the middle of a parking lot with helicopters flying over. We were on the local news. I had a .38 pistol cocked, held to my forehead. And you want to talk to me about the system? You ain't got a clue. To them. These folks with the whitey tie, well, they just shouldn't have done. What? I had a little bit of snort in my pocket and I got a .38 pistol cocked to my forehead. Oh, that's worth it. He's a drug dealer. He's got crystal meth. Oh my God. It's in a little plastic bag that's so small that if you drop it, it'll get, where'd it go? Oh my God, don't lose it. That's worth a .38 pistol to the head. I can still see the bullets in the chamber because it was a snub nose .38. I still see the bullets in my dream, the lead poking out from the chamber. Not a pretty memory. Not a pretty memory. But I'm telling you, they're just like, these are just memories of these are the things that happen legally, minding my own business kind of thing. Oh, he's got it, Now, but for folks who've never been in the system that want to say that those of us who've been in the system, we're making some of this up. It's really not that bad. Or why didn't you do differently? Please bite my crank. Bite me. I'm sorry. You're speaking. I hope you never find out. But you're talking about something you have no idea. And you want to make statements and you want to promote this thing and you want to make these little Facebook things and somebody makes a meme and something and blah, blah, blah. Hang on till you know the full story, till it's happened to you. You should keep your ever loving mouth shut about some of this stuff. People are talking smack about Winston Shrout. I don't know where they're getting it from, because everything I've seen, listened to, watched, or heard, he's like me. He's an old guy that knows a bunch of shit. If I was to start sitting here and talk about CAD drawings and engineering, what, you're going to arrest me because I'm giving insider trading on how to program a 3D AutoCAD drawing into a CNC machine? I mean, come on, it's a system. Winston was teaching about the system of economics and the government. It's all out there. He's a constitutionalist, although he probably doesn't really carry a gun. He's probably got a shotgun because he lives in the country. But to the point, it's like he's a patriot. He's about peace. Let's stop war. Let's learn how to get together. Let's think about the violet flame. And they threw him in jail. There will be justice, my friends. I mean, I get my paybacks every once in a while. I'll hear about somebody that, after all these years of being an underhanded cop, beating people up on the side, throwing my shoulder out of literally knocking it out of socket, manhandling me where there was no reason to do so. I mean, to release me to a black man, a very nice black man, very wonderful gentleman, so kind. Have you eaten? Let's get you something to eat. It's 4 a.m. They brought me breakfast. They brought me coffee. They took all my medicine. They threw me in a lockup with some really crazy people. But to the point, though, the staff weren't rude. So why was all at the mental hospital? I mean, why didn't 2 guards meet me with chains and shackles and take me into the middle? I'm outside in the parking lot. So why did they beat me up if I was so dangerous? It happens all the time, folks. Happens all the time. I hope it never happens to you or any of your loved ones. But the system sucks. Once they get you for something, they'll nail you. It's like they got your freaking number. And I just learned after so many years, I do the Jedi mind trick. You don't see me. What color is my truck? It's desert beige. Why? Because it blends in. It doesn't stick out to the eye. It's not white, it's not black, not red, not blue. It's beige. It disappears. The eye doesn't see it. It's a neutral color. I travel around incognito. There are times I should have been stopped, have been stopped, and got away with, I got an ounce under the freaking seat. Jesus Christ. Oh, bye. See you later. Thank you. And drive on and go, that was close again, But so I've escaped justice so many times. Got caught too. But the stupid things with some weed in the front seat or something, got away with it. Shouldn't have. But that's the Jedi mind thing. Look in there, but there's nothing in there. Look behind the seat, but there's nothing there. Yeah, okay, see, nothing there. Close the thing. You plant the seed. It's an old magician's trick. Nothing up my sleeve when just a little further down, there is something up your sleeve. Just saying. It's an old magician's trick. Look over here when you're fiddling over here, or watch this hand go, it's all. So if you plant the seed, now there's a little tip for you folks if you want to get out of something. Doesn't happen every time. But the thing is if you like, oh shit, I got a joint, crap, or something. Oh, somebody left a roach in their ash. Okay. Sure, officer, you can look. But there's nothing there, but you can look. So there's nothing there. There's nothing you're going to find. Just stay calm. Even if they find something, say, well, I don't know what that is. What is it? That's a roach. Oh, well, okay. Well, I'm going to but I didn't, you know. So and you don't jump up with, no, man, dude. No, don't do that. Don't do that. That's like the dumbest thing. Don't stand up to a cop. Don't, I'm going to get your badge number. No, don't do that shit. I'm sorry. You're going to piss them off. And they got the rule of law behind them. They'll make up shit. Don't stand up to them. The best thing you can do is play by their rules. Yes, it's a little bit, intimidating and all the crap. But if you don't piss them off, they are more likely to treat you with respect. Just saying. A little tip from Dave with all the times I've been arrested and put in prison, jail, and all that. Okay, so, but you can, and speak nicely, be respectful. Okay, you got me. I mean, when they arrested us down in Tampa that one time, I was like, the guy's going, oh, you better not fight. And I'm like, you got me. I count 10 cops. There's one, I can see a shotgun pointed over the hood of the car in my direction. And you think I'm gonna run? There's a helicopter over my head. I'm in the freaking 301 truck stop in Tampa in the parking lot. We're surrounded. And you think I'm gonna run? Please. Please, sorry, but yeah, I've been there, done that. Saw the good cop, bad cop. I mean, when they put me in before my habeas corpus that I hand wrote to the judge and sent in by myself on legal pad with pencil. Yep, printed it, the whole damn thing out. It was beautiful. Took me like 4 tries. They don't like eraser thinkings. It had to be clean and perfect. It was marvelous. I wrote my own writ of habeas corpus back then. Because they have to charge you within 30 days. And they had not brought charges up against me. And all I want them to do is like living in limbo sucks. And they know it. So they won't charge you. And if you don't know about habeas corpus, you've got to present the body of evidence. You must present the evidence before you can keep me locked up here. Well, because my family said, screw you. And had come down for the weekend from Georgia, I'm screwed. I got nobody to stand up for me, with me, or anything. So I'm doing my jailhouse thing. But I got rid of habeas corpus. It got applied. It went in, and it was like 36 or 7 days. But finally, they were like, "So what do you want?" I said, "Y'all just charge my ass. You don't leave me here. Set a court date. Do the thing, but don't you just leave me sitting here and with no knowledge." It was like a little bit of crystal. Well, it was, well, yeah, I guess it was meth. It's not like they got now. This was like really clean pharmaceutical. This was really good stuff. But anyway, yeah, it was still in the powder form. And yeah, you snorted it. And yeah, okay. Or you could shoot it. But I was never into the needle thing. Yeah. But so the folks who have never been in the system or look over it and say, this isn't real. This doesn't happen. They don't make up shit. Oh, yeah, they did. By the time I got to my writ of habeas corpus, there were 9 charges against us. They had made up some kind of shit about we were in some kind of drug ring out of Gainesville, Florida. Actually, they said Ocala. Little did they know it was Gainesville for us. I told them how I picked it up, not who. And had they looked in any of the evidence that was in their possession, by the way, they would have seen this guy's phone number. They could have called him. They could have set it up. They could have lied. Idiots. What the cops told me was, you've been watching too many cop shows. And I looked at him and said, you're not paying attention to the truth. And so they said, phooey. They dismissed my honest testimonial in this court hearing for my writ. But they formally charged me. Now, what actually happened of the 9 charges, there were 4, but each one of them were 5 years apiece. So I was looking at a minimum sentence of 20 years for about a gram of snort. 20 years. I pled guilty to 2 of the 4 charges. The other was like, well, there was a gun in the back seat, wasn't loaded, and it was a long rifle, 22 long rifle, beautiful gun, Winchester style, beautiful gun. Went missing from the property room at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department. They couldn't produce the gun they were charging me with having in my possession. They couldn't produce the weapon. So, felony with intent to distribute, felony possession gun during commission of a thing, possession, blah, blah, blah. Couldn't find the gun, couldn't charge me. The other stuff was just hearsay, couldn't prove a dime of it. But they got me on 2 counts. So instead of minimum 5, they gave me 20 years for the 2. They wanted 20 years out of me for a small-time drug possession. And you say the system ain't rigged because they needed folks to work on the chain gangs. It's the truth. There are so many people on the chain gangs that don't really belong there. Their crimes are minimal, but because of the system, the time they spend in jail, the not having a job, all the fines, fees, lawyers, and crap, they go right back in because it's just easier. Well, people say, well, they just can't cope on the outside. That ain't it. Society refuses to let them make it. They can't make it. There's no way to make it out of the system. So they go back in because they can't fight it. There's so many people in there who are worthwhile people. Got a raw deal, got into the system one time and couldn't get their feet out. They lost their job. It snowballed. And so they get out. We're out for a week or 2, get a little part-time job, get arrested for drunken disorderly, or they missed a payment. Back in the hoosegow they go. We got to pray for these people. We got to pray for Winston. I've had my bouts, not to say that I'm over yet with it, but I'm not planning on any kind of anarchy or anything, but we do need to take over this stuff. People need to be aware of these things and this dirty underground business that is going on. I mean, and the rape and the violence and the drugs and the other business with the prisons, the guards who are on the take, and oh my God, it's worse than the movies. The movies cannot portray this stuff correctly because it's so subverted, and the fingers of this corruption go in so many directions. People simply, it's right in front of them. Well, somebody got arrested. Yeah. Well, now they're a bum and now they're a homeless person, and it's snowballed. The system took them down. And you say, well, I survived because I'm a freaking fighter. And I've been dead. I've been locked up. I've been chained to murderers. I've been beat up by the best of them. And I'm a nonviolent, peaceable, hippie dude. Smoke some pot. Let's talk about it. But I'm a menace to society because I'm a free thinker. Hip, hip, hooray for all free thinkers. Hip, hip, hooray for all of us who wish to express our other, I see folks over here in the thingy. I had to move over the whole screen. So, yes, it's really crazy. All of this is bullshit, but the thing is that this is going on to people who've really done nothing wrong. Oh, they broke a law. Well, the law is made up by a bunch of people who have some kind of weird shit going on. But my point is, once you get in the system, if they get you bad enough and you don't have enough resources, you ain't getting out. Not easy. You really got to do your stuff. They were lied to and thought everything. Why are there people in caravans trying to enter America? Actually, it makes perfect sense. Now, here's the thing. I want to make a comment about that quartz quantum, and I mean this with respect. Do you know how far south Guatemala is and Honduras? Does anybody really know? It's like 500 clicks south of Mexico City. And I've known people, friends of mine, who live around Mexico City, Toluca, and that area down in there. It's 1,000 miles from Mexico City to the border. So we're talking 1,500 miles. Now, I did a video or something, a Facebook thing, and I told people, I said, okay, let's get this. If it's 1,000 miles, and if these people could walk 10 miles every day, it's going to take 100 days for them to walk up here. But it's further than that. They got to get to Mexico City first. There are like 20 million people live around Mexico City. They got to get through Mexico City and around it, you know? And so everybody's talking about, oh, they're coming to America in February or March if they hurry and nothing gets in the way or slows them down and they do 10 miles a day. It's going to be March before they get here. Oh my God, they're on the border. Oh, stop it. Look at a map. I'm not saying that it's not, but these people, their panties are, their tighty whities are so bunched up, they can't take a poop. I mean, it's like, and they're going berserk. Yes, we should take care of it. Yes, we should deal with it. Yes, we should put something up on our southern border. We got people in Afghanistan and overseas. Bring them home. There are people volunteer to be down there. If I were more able, I'd go volunteer and stay down there for a stretch on the border. I'd volunteer, don't even have to have a gun. I'll bring my bow and arrow. I'll take one of your ass out, But to the point, though, why are these people getting their panties in a bunch so bad? Because they don't know their geography. How fast can they? Well, they might get a ride. Well, if there's 10,000 of them, they're all going to get a ride on semi-tractor trailers. Oh, okay. Well, if that happens, well, then maybe we got an issue here. Why don't we send him some food? Why don't we keep him there? Just saying. Let's send one of them big, airplanes and drop some food on them and say, y'all stay put. Here's a couple old duffel bags. Here's some old tarps. Build yourself a city down here. Stay close to home. We'll help you where you're at. That makes a lot more sense. But no, there's going to be this caravan. The crazy people who wish to create chaos are making this a big deal. Yeah, it's a big deal. But they're 1,500 miles south. Stop with the panic already. We got time. Okay. Just saying. Just saying. Get your panties out of a bunch and just calm down. So, yes, let's deal with it. Yes, I'm not trying to be ugly about this, but this panties in a bunch for 1,500 miles south with people walking, it's just insanity. It's just hype. Chill. You take the red pill, you see the Matrix on a psychedelic trip. Take the blue pill, you're in the Matrix as a pilled out junkie. Your choice, your Matrix. And I say people need to take the purple pill. It's half red, half blue. It's a little bit of that's the wonky. Okay. Marie, thank you much. Blessings to you. I love chatting with you guys. Sounds like they are putting people through hell and people are dying over it. This goes back to a part of an earlier conversation about people that I've known who have passed away. There are 20 or more people that I've known are now no longer on this earth, and they were much younger than me and died from an overdose for whatever the reason. And there was no reason for it, except they lost hope. They went to mental health. They got into the system, and the system took them down. 20 people that I am aware of. At my last count, my last checkup with my crazy people, there's some people that have disappeared. And I'm just assuming that they're no longer with us. And that includes another 10 or 15 people straight off the board, have just like disappeared off the map. Well, they used to have a house, have a car. We used to go fishing. They're not here. They're not around. They're just gone. Nobody knows. Did they die? Don't know. Did they just, I don't know. Then I find out that there's been people, some of these people have been living down, in tents down by the river. And because there's a lot of areas on the swamp, a lot of people don't live, it's lowland, blah, blah, blah. And they literally have homeless camps down on the river. Some of them have an old canoe, an old flat bottom. Some of them literally traipse through the freaking swamp to an area that's far away from anybody public, and they pitch a tent, they start a campsite, and they're living there, doing some fishing, whatever. They're trying to live off the land. There's a garbage can not too far away, the dumpster they go through. They set up their little tent camps there until somebody finds them and reports them, and somebody traipses through the swamp and chases them out, which isn't too frequent. But I got to say that they're not too bad about that. Thank you, Blaze. You're happy I'm still here. Me too. But anyway, Blaze, Marie, Quartz, LJD, you're new to me. Greetings. Hey, ding, ding, ding. Yep. It sounds like almost like you have to fib to them. You do. You can't tell them the freaking truth. Sassy Susie commented, thank you. You're wonderful. Thank you. Blessings to you, Susie. Blessings to all of you. Honestly, I know there are those few people who have made a comment or two, and it's like, you say, well, you love us all, and you say prayers and all that kind of stuff, and do you really mean it? And I'm like, if you've listened to my video and see me cry through some of this stuff, if you can say that I'm trying to sit here and give you a line of bullshit and lie to you, that ain't happening. Now, I will tell you when I'm going to tell a story, and I got some whopper stories just for the fun of it, but that's for another time. But what I've been talking about tonight, and the being arrested and the drug addict and all the things, this is my life. This is what has happened to me. And these are the things that I've observed, the people, the places. When you're inside a jail and you see cops come in and they want to get a blowjob from one of the queer guys in cell 4, and you're the guy that's watching the door. Oh, secrets. And if their wife only knew in their Catholic family that this cop's coming in and getting a blowjob from the queer black guy in cell block 4. Are you serious? Well, there's lots of dirt, and it's going on all the time. And there's a lot more than that. But the thing is that people just, if they knew that, you're talking about my husband. Yeah. But I've got 2 kids. Yeah. You must not give him a BJ at home because he's getting one from the queer guy at the jail. Oh! Truth. People who just don't wish to understand that this stuff is for real, please open your eyes. Just pay attention. Open that awareness part of you. Open up your heart and look at some of the things. Go, you know what? That's just odd. But when you've been in the system like I have, I can see things that other folks just don't see because I've been inside of it. And just because of the type of person I am, I'm analyzing stuff and how's this working, fidgety, this and that, and watching the paradigms of people working, how these two work together, and this one will work with this one, but this guy hates this guy, or it's strange. So, but interesting at the same point. But if people really knew what was going on all around them, even in these small towns down here in the South, when I was in Tampa, it was like 10 times worse. But there are 10 times more people stacked up, and etc. 10 times more creepiness too. I want to tell you. Oh, of course, my neighbor down the road that they named the road after him, who was the goat. The goat fucker. I did say it. I was trying to say, what was he doing? He was the goat shagger. That's what I was trying to say. The goat shagger, trying to keep it clean here with us adults in the room. But, it's like, so they name a road after this guy. He's been porking sheep for 50 years, and they name a road after him in remembrance of the great Olin Lloyd, who porked sheep and I'm sorry, goats. Well, if he had sheep, he would have done that too. The crazy weirdness that goes on in this world. And that's just in my neighborhood, But because I've worked in Valdosta and a lot of these little towns around here, I've known people. I've done theater with puppet shows. So, like I said, I've stood, waiting for the kids to come in or leave, and you listen to the teachers talking. You listen to, it's amazing what gets said. and the gossip that goes on. Oh my God. Just saying. So I got a butt cramp. Old timers got to pee. I want to say that I love you all very much. Yes, I do love you. And yes, I do pray for you. I have a doctor friend said people get cut off meds, not weaned. They start heroin not to get sick. Yep. Yep. I mean, every doctor that I talked to, and I was on phenobarbital for my seizure activity and so forth legally. Because of my doctor getting busted and not being able to get another doctor, and no prescriptions would get filled because I was on the do not fill list because of my doctor having nothing to do with me. Everything was perfectly legal. Known the lady for 12, 15 years up to that point, and I've known her for over 20 now. So this happened a few years back, but to the point, I've got a long history with her, and my drug abuse had nothing to do with the doctor. You know, I went to her for legitimate reasons for my seizure medicines and so forth. But everyone told me, oh, coming off of phenobarb, no problem. After 17 years, it is when I found out from other junkies, if you will, that my addiction to the phenobarbital was just as bad as heroin addiction. And I kicked it on my own. Now, with my help of my step-grandson, Big John, that I talk about, who is a lovely, beautiful man and wonderful heart and soul. It's a wonderful man. Anyway, and, under 25 and got a clear head, there is hope for this world. And he stands up for it, too. And he stands up for me. Hey, Pops ain't as crazy as you people think he is. But anyway, but with that, it's like, I try to do everything, quote, by the books, and even though I'm a conspiracy theorist going back to JFK assassination, etc., I saw Lee Harvey Oswald get shot on live TV that Sunday morning. I mean, these things stick in your head. And so it's like when people say, well, that's just conspiracy shit. No, when you see stuff, when you've been in the system, it's not a conspiracy. It's just really quiet. But when you get in, I went to mental health with the intention of healing, of getting better, not take medicine for the rest of my life. But they ended up hooking me. They ended up making my mental condition worse because they kept changing up the doses and the thises and the that's, and they wouldn't listen when I tried to tell them the truth. Then I had to fib because what did work, they didn't want to hear. So you end up lying one way or the other. You can't win. And it was all because I simply wanted to get better. And they made me worse. And, you can be off of phenobarb 4 or 5 days, no problem. You'll never notice. 3 months later, I'm still going like this. Drooling, peeing on myself. Okay. Yeah, been there, done that. You talk about being lower than death. There were times when my grandson, Big John, I told him, there's a light in the other room. Can you see it? No. Do you see the door opening up with the white light in the kitchen? No. Do you see the white light coming towards me? No, Pops, I don't. And he's asking me, Pops, what else do you see? I see a door open and they're asking me if I'm coming. And I don't think I'm ready. But Big John, my grandson, if I'm here in the morning, I guess it's not my time to go. He said, I love you, Pops. And out I went. Woke up like 6 hours later, doing this thing, peed on myself again, but I was still alive. And he goes, I'm so glad you didn't go through that door. He said, I sat here and prayed that you would stay here. Whoa. He trusted me that there was something in the other room. And I mean, to this day, it's like I look in my kitchen all the time, and there's no way I can imagine this white light thingy that I saw. Saw it. It was there. The light shining. Even I could see the shadows coming towards me in the room here. Big John never said a word. He said, I love you, and I'm going to pray you're still here in the morning. I I should write a freaking book. No one would believe this shit. That's why I'm doing it this way, I reckon. But to the point, it's like, so when people say, you can kick that drug, it doesn't have any effect on you. Prolonged use of any of these, like the Provigil and the Nuvigil, as a guinea pig for the drug companies back then. When I came off of those drugs, oh my God, the psychotic events I was having, because I didn't have that stimuli in my brain. You only had to take one pill a day, but it was so strong that it would keep you up for 24 hours. I mean, like, I was taking half of them and staying up for a whole day with my narcolepsy. It was like great. But to the point, though, and the longer you took it, you had to take a little more. And then, it didn't work quite as well. And you got that wonky woo, woo, woo kind of thing going on, where you're looking at a monitor and you're typing in the computer screen seems to come at you and then go back a little bit, wonky, like woo, woo, woo. Then it'll calm back down. You blink your eyes, shake your head a little bit, and okay, back you go. Or it lasts longer. And different people have different ways, but everybody on Provigil that was part of the testing, and other people who were, get this, in the medical profession, like in emergency rooms for doctors and other nurses, they're taking this to keep them awake and alert. So we've got nurses and doctors who are taking this stuff as a prescription, because all the people in the military are taking them and all these other people. I was a guinea pig. Okay, fine. But the thing is, they're all getting this wonkiness. So why are some of these, quote, normal people acting so batshit crazy? Maybe it's the wonkiness in all of the different medicines. My hand is for yes, because of what I've seen from the inside of the mental health and the meds. There were people I found out when a particular doctor died in town. Lovely man, but some folks, they couldn't get another doctor to prescribe them their psych meds, so they ended up going to mental health for various reasons. And then I found out, you're going here too. Oh, welcome, And so we've had this 20 plus group of people who are all going to mental health, who all had the same doctors, medicines. We would get together and have coffee, we're the mental health kids, and blah, blah, a big joke, but at the same time, it was like serious. But there was a comfort in the number of us who were like, well, that's how you were having an episode the other night, weren't you? Yeah, I didn't know you had those episodes too. So where there were clashes between people, we didn't know that the other one was having medical issues with the same pharmacist and mental health folks and doctors. Oh, holy crap. There was a lady who was my sworn enemy. That's what she told me. I'm your sworn enemy, David O. And then when she found out that I was going to mental health and that we were on a similar medication for a similar type of depression state thing, we became fast friends. She was like, I had no idea that's what you were going through. And I was like, Nancy, I had no idea that's why you were so edgy all the time. And we seemed to clash. Honey, I'm on your side. We go to the same freaking doctor for the same freaking thing. Why are we like at odds with it? And we became friends. And it was like, oh my God. So mental health cured some other things socially in certain ways down here in this small community. But at the same time, they made us all addicts, and they're still making people crazy. So LJD people are cut from pain meds so they go to heroin. 2014, government took power away from doctors and put it in the hands of the drug dealers. Absolutely. The stories I can tell about the drugs that you can buy illegally, being the next drug dealer from down here in South Georgia. I was the quiet, under the counter. Nobody knew what I was doing because I was doing it on the sly. But now these were to family and friends and folks that I knew. So I wasn't selling drugs on the street. It was a supply and demand. There was a demand for something. I found a supplier, and then I brought it home to the family, friends, and I very rarely made any money except it paid for my own drugs. And it gave me enough money to go buy another batch of whatever it was that folks wanted at the time, or whatever might have been available. But the things that I did as this drug dealer, Many people still don't know anywhere near what I did. But it was to family and friends. It wasn't for people out on the sidewalk. These were for people's own stash. I buy a pound of weed. I knew enough people that would buy up every single ounce or 2 ounces at a time, for their own personal stash. Just how it was. And so, I don't do it anymore, blah, blah, blah. But to the point, though, man, the pounds of marijuana and other drugs that I've transported down here through South Georgia and around, I mean, from Florida, from Tampa, from Jacksonville, from Macon. I mean, yeah, I got stories that would rival some of the motion pictures that you see and about the drug chases and stuff. Oh my God, the stories that are real. And I could cite dates and times and things, and the big chase through South Georgia, and from Douglas to Thomasville. Oh my God. It was a 2.5 hour chase through the swamp, through the Okefenokee swamp. I'm not joking. And so it's like, oh yeah. But for people to say, well, that kind of stuff doesn't go on, and I'm making this stuff up, man, I can give you dates. I can give you court dates. I can, cite this. But to the biggest thing with my storytelling with you, and God love you all, I'm gonna shut up because my butt cramps is getting worse, and I still had to pee. But believe it that the system will break the best of us. The system is so messed up and is so deep and hideous and heinous. Some people, the pronunciation of words. I'm going to do a pronunciation of words one night. Heinous, heinous. No, it's heinous crime, by the way. So for any heinous crime, which is nasty, mean, ugly, like baby raping or something like that. Heidi, hello. Similar harrow situation in many ways here in Scandinavia. Even worse in the UK, Italy, and other. Absolutely. The Balkan area over there is horrendous for heroin and some really nasty drugs. There are some, God, I hate to put it on the Russians, but they're Ukraine and Slavic and different countries, Romanian. I'm not just blaming this on the Russians, but in that area, there are some folks over there, and they need to make money. They're the Southern Mafia. They're the Chicago Mafia. Somebody's going to cook something in somewhere and somebody's going to sell it. So it is about the money, and they, cooking your own stuff and, in a chemical, okay, great. And it gets people hooked. I knew people who used to cook it around here back in the day. So, I get this. And here cannabis comes from North Africa and the Middle East via Spain. Wow, that's interesting. And prescription opiates are also overused. Absolutely. When I look at my own self there, Hyde, your last name you sound German or possibly Swedish, Norwegian, Denmark, up in that area. How close am I? Wait, you said heroin in Scandinavia. Okay, I got it. I was trying to think of how my grandmother, who was German, would say the last name. Grandliter. Oh, no, it's no R. It's Grandrietler. I'll practice. Anyway, greetings. The amount of drug abuse and I'm still shocked at how many people are dying down here of overdoses. And I thought, well, no, man, in South Georgian, old German word for shaman. I knew there's Grandreader. It's so, yeah, it's never mind. I got it for shaman. Wonderful. I was absolutely surprised. It was like, well, what did this person overdose of? Heroin. What? Oh yeah, there's some brown heroin out there, and there's some. I'm like, hang on, this is South Georgia, and yeah, but there was only really like the strictest, way out, whacked out, some somebody that could get a hold of heroin. Now, apparently, heroin is easier to get than buying weed. I mean, what? Little brown sack. Heroin has come to South Georgia way bigger than I ever thought it would. And I mean, these folks are mainlining. They're shooting up. They're not even screwing around. I mean, I knew some folks who would snort a little heroin. Okay, yeah, you're getting addicted there, but it's not like mainlining. But there are folks that they're so poked full of holes. They're wearing long sleeve shirts all the time. They're popping in their veins in the back of their ankles and stuff, the top of their feet. Oh my God. And I'm like, I left Tampa because of that. And it's moved up here. Now it's taken it a long time, but to the fact that heroin is here and it has been and is killing people presently. Oh crap. Now that's one thing I never would mess with. Nobody. Somebody said anything about heroin, say, sorry. Now, I did cocaine. I did methyl deoxyamphetamine, which a very high class amphetamine in powder. Oh, my God, that stuff was good. Oh, just saying. And I hate it. Yes, I'm an old drug addict. But there in my lifetime, it's like you come across a drug that is like so clean, so good, so pure, so, oh my gosh, it's like the best pizza you ever had, or the best, I don't know, crumb cake, the best bagel, I don't care, the best something. Well, this particular MDA that we got was so good. We were cutting it in half and then half again, which would be times 2 or 4, depending. And the people around here were getting so high on it, they were cutting it themselves after they bought it from us. We made a killing off of this stuff. It was so good. But the thing is that it was the cleanest, bestest, no kind of dirty after effects drug. I know drugs ain't good for you, but in all my years of doing drugs, that particular, and thank God they busted me in Tampa with it, because if I had made it back to Georgia, we were going to buy another ounce, and we were going to buy another ounce. I would have never got that monkey off my back. And I'm here to tell you, I saw monkeys. I ain't lying. That shit was great. But drugs are bad. Drugs are bad. Drugs are bad. But so anyway, yeah, I pray for folks all the time. I pray for folks that I don't even know. Those folks out there who are addicted to, to pain meds. I just send out a prayer to the great cosmos, to the quantum universe, to source, and to all the angels. Lend your hand down to these people who are afflicted with these prescriptions and these drugs and so forth. Bring your hand down however you do it and touch these people's hearts and their spirits and help them to get out of this. Because I've been through it. It's hard. You need help. You need persistence. And I'm sorry, but you got to have Creator on your side. Because too many times I saw that white light and didn't pass through. And the angels and my physical guardians, so, those few human people that I have that, protect me. God bless them. God bless all of you. And it's my spirit God. It's Creator. It ain't the God in the Bible. I don't like that dude. He's the God of vengeance and wrath. And please don't worship or pray to that one. Just saying. But so I go straight to the sources of, as I always discuss, of the angel messages. They're always there. I keep trying to explain to people, once you tune in, it's hard to tune them out. I mean, unless you start doing drugs or whatever, blah, 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 and you don't want to hear. That's another story. I realized there are a lot of people who I thought were spiritual, really aren't. It's disappointing. because they're looking at some of the things that not just me talking about, but other people talking about. And it's like, the awareness factor. I mean, even some priests and pastors, they talk about, oh, nature, how nature is so good to bring you into the Lord, and that we have dominion over the Lord. I mean, over the earth, and the Lord shines down upon us who defecate on the earth and who drill it and mine it and pollute it. And the Lord gave us dominion over this. Yeah, okay. Our dominion, we need to go back to being protectors. So there are people who are preaching this stuff. Go to your doctor, support your this. Take your meds. People were, the joke was, well, Dave, have you taken your meds? Well, you're feeling bad. Must be you haven't taken your meds. Well, actually, butthole, I've taken too much of the meds. And the reason I'm acting in this way is because I'm over medicated, trying to get off the drugs, and you're not helping. You're trying to, oh, look at him. He's a stupid asshole. Oh, he's a drug addict. Oh, don't mind Dave. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, he's just having a medicated moment. Well, duh. Is there any sympathy for those of us? Oh, I caught you at the same doctor with me the other day. Oh, you take the same meds. Ooh, you had a breakdown in front of your family. Ha ha. Guess what? We're in the same boat. Shut up. Oh, but people who look in at what's going on from the outside looking in, oh, well, that person is so. Please, we got to stop this. It's not just the opiates. There are things in some of these other medicines, because I quit taking them, non-opioids, but they were having an effect on me physically and tinkering with my brain chemicals, because everything you take's going to go through your brain. Just say it. Even an aspirin or a Tylenol, everything's going to go through your brain no matter what it is. I mean, if you're going to eat a salami sandwich, some of that's going to go through your brain, just saying. But what the chemicals themselves, though, so people are just not being nice. Oh, it's the opiates. No, it's these other things too. I mean, I got some whacked out, relatives that are on, these other mental health type of drugs, and they're really not doing too good. They're younger than me, and they're all sitting around going like this, and they're like, well, the doctor says that, this isn't, and this has nothing to do with the medicines I'm taking. And I'm going, yes, it does. Well, no, it doesn't, Dave. I'm just taking, this is palsy because I'm getting older. No, you've got palsy because you're taking the medicines. If you stop taking the medicines, you won't have the palsy. How do you know, Dave? Because I quit taking the same medicines. What? I don't have palsy anymore. What? Yeah, I was on that medicine. Remember how I used to shake? Yeah. Had nothing to do with age. The frickin' doctors lie to you. Oh, well, no, you're over 50, or you're over 55, you're over 6, and you're going to get, this is part of getting old. No, it ain't part of getting old. It's the medicines you're shoving down my throat, and it's the pharmaceutical companies who are putting crap in there that are giving us these symptoms. You can't be cured of anything as long as you're taking anything pharmaceutical. Bottom line. Because whatever, I don't give a shit if this is a thing. Blood pressure medicine. My blood pressure was up. Oh my God, here, take this. The pills made my blood pressure go up. What did the doctor do? Upped my blood medicine. Well, you need to take more of this. And I said, Doc, we done been through this shit. I quit taking it, went in, she goes, oh, your blood pressure's down. And I said, yeah, I quit taking the blood pressure medicine at the beginning of this month. 3 weeks later, I get a clean bill of health. She goes, well, what do you mean you quit taking? It was making me nauseated. It was screwing with the other meds I'm taking. And you say, oh, but your blood, you're old enough. And it's no bullshit. It was the combination of the meds and the blood pressure medicine that made my blood pressure go up 20 points. I quit taking the blood pressure medicine. I got off of the other meds. My blood pressure went down. I haven't done a damn thing different. Well, I don't know. Oh, it's a miracle. No, I quit taking the freaking pharmaceuticals. Everything is having an effect on us. And each of us is different. Yeah, okay, we're made up similarly. But if I take one drug, my reaction is going to be different from any other person. We're all going to have a slightly different view of how it works. Some people are still taking Prozac and some of those other things. I took Prozac and went batshit crazy. They needed to tie me down. And they would wake me up and shove another pill in, make me swallow it, and I'd go off to being crazy some more. All in to help me heal. Oh my God. So first we got to bring awareness. We got to tell folks, I keep telling folks, and I use myself. Look, you know how many drugs I used to take. I was like the pill guy. I was taking 28 different pills per day, every day for 5 years. I take like 8 pills 3 times a day now. And of those 8 pills, they're aspirin, Advil, and Benadryl. My big drugs. Now, I do have a couple of pain pills left over from way back when I was getting them legally, but I only take a half, and it's only when I've been doing outside work and I'm really freaking hurting. Extreme case, I'll take a half of one. Helps me out. I lay down, rest. But since I've quit taking the other medicines, though, I don't have any kind of anxiety or all of the things that was associated with my mental health condition. In fact, my narcolepsy's gotten better. Now I still sleep way too much, but that's I've just come to believe that's my journey I got to go through. There's something in this dream walking I'm doing. There are downloads and things that I'm learning, and there are things going on, and it's like, okay, Dave. So I don't like to sleep for 2 days, but at the end of it, I wake up and there are all these things in my head like, we need to talk about this. This needs to be a topic for discussion. We need to talk about the heart. We need to talk about suicide. We need to talk about drug, whatever the topic is that comes through me. And I get washed over with this wonderful, wonderful, sometimes it's a pale blue light. It's sort of whitish blue, and it's just like comforting. And I know that Mother Mary has been with me. Or in the native tongue, I used to call her White Dove. And folks would say, who the hell is White Dove? White Dove. White Dove is Mother Mary, and she is the representative of the goddess Mother Earth. That's who she is. And she comes and brings me these wonderful messages of peace, love, hugs, things to look out for, things to pay attention to, how we can all go into the, we all got to go to the kiddie pool, but, some of us are going to be able to swim a lot sooner than other folk, when we get during this transition. So it's like, I think to myself, I am so blessed. I'm so humbled. There are so many things I don't have. But then when I stop back and look at my life and I go, look at all the crap you've been through. Do you really need all this other shit? Blah, blah, blah. That's my life choice. But to other people who just absolutely don't have a clue of any of this, they're going to have to go to the kiddie pool and they're going to have to learn the basics. And I've been told that I'm going to be one of the teachers. I am one of the teachers. I think I'm already standing in the kiddie pool sometimes. I can feel water around my ankles, if you will, as far as being in the etheric. And I think to myself, I was told when I was 11 years old that I was going to have this task to do. They didn't give me the instructions, just that I was going to be called upon. Here I am. This is what's going on. The Mother Mary dreams, the angel messages, and the guidance that I keep getting. I just wish to pass it on to you all so that we can all go through this transition together. We just got to calm down with some of these things. We need to look at some of this stuff practically. We need to look seriously. Folks need to listen to people like me who have been addicted to prescription drugs. They need to listen to our stories in that, for example, the palsy that I don't have anymore, the rheumatoid arthritis that's going away in my hands for some magical reason. I quit drinking plastic. That's one big reason. But I quit taking these other drugs that were affecting my arthritis. They were giving me arthritis medicine that was making me feel worse. I mean, so I take a couple of aspirin a day, a couple of Advil. I'm sorry, not Advil, ibuprofen. And I take Benadryl because my sinuses are hosed up from all the coke and shit that I took up my nose for so many years. Shame on me. But so I take 3 Benadryl a day. I take 3 aspirin and 3 ibuprofen. 3, 6, 9, 9 pills. I was taking 28, not counting vitamins, every single day. I mean, you could smell my pee from a mile away. I mean, I was having kidney problems. I was having that kind of problem. All these things went away. Mental issues went away. Distress and certain palsies went away after I stopped taking the drugs, the pharmaceuticals. Now, I'm a big herbalist. There are lots of things. In fact, if I were feeling better, have it not been for this last little knockdown download stuff here recently, now's the time to go pick some of these wild herbs before they're gone for the fall and the winter. And it's also time to start planting mustards and collards and turnips down here, and broccoli and spinach and so forth, because now it's cooled down enough that this is the perfect season for them. So anyway, I'm going to shut up. Now I got a cramp in the other butt cheek. I love you all. It's been a great Friday evening with you all hanging out. I hope to wake up one day and realize I've died. You know what? It's strange waking up on the other side. It really is, because you may not have heard my drowning on the river story that happened several years ago in the middle of summer and 102 degrees in the shade, and no water, got stuck down on the Clockney River, which is like in the middle of a swamp, nobody around for miles, ain't no way to I had to get out so many feet and pull my canoe over. It's horrible. The water was way low. And spent 3 days on the river with less than a gallon of water in 102 to 104 degree temperatures. Should have died, could have died, had died. I had dug a little hole in between some palmetto bushes up on the bank and was so tired, nasty, wore out. Me and my little Sasha dog curled up in this little burrow that I think a wild hog had dug out between some palmetto bushes. And I laid against Mother Earth and covered me with palm fronds to keep the mosquitoes off of me. And I passed out for 2 days. No clue where I was, what I went. All I remember are these angels on either side of me and seeing myself walking through the woods with them. I could see myself. It wasn't that it was dark. My shape was more gray colored, where theirs were like pure white. So I could see my outline, and it was great. Let's just call it what it was. But I've got a white being on either shoulder walking with me through the swamp. And it's so clear I can see it now. And it's like, I couldn't make this up. I could not dream up what I'm seeing. Just I got a good imagination, but this ain't in it. Okay. I have it now because I must have been in it. And I've walked with these spirits. And during that 3-day time on the river that August, I came back with a strength and an understanding. And they told me things that they were going to, they didn't tell me then, but they brought me back, and I looked in my canoe and I looked at the water and stuff. And it's like, this is 2 days later. I should be dehydrated, fried up, and dead because of the heat. I mean, like the low for the day was like 85. It was really hard that summer. And it was, honest to God, 104 in the shade. It was horrible. No water, no nothing, and no food, didn't have my medicines, and I'm on the river. I was just supposed to go up for a couple of miles and come back down the same day, and ended up 3 days later getting back to my truck, which thank God was still there. But then I spent another half a day digging my truck out of the sugar sand. But to the point though, talk about walking in death in the other side. knowing I was there, there's no other way I could have survived that. Nobody can survive 3 days without the proper amount of water. Don't give a shit where you're at. And I didn't have it. I had less. I had a thing of Gatorade and a Mountain Dew, a 20-ounce Mountain Dew for 3 days. That's all I had to drink. That's it. I had two of those fudge little Debbie cakes and two of the coconut little cream thingies, little Debbie type cakes. All I had to eat for 3 days on the river, 102 degree during the daytime. Ain't no way I should have come off that river. No way. Believe if you will, but it happened. So I understand what it means to walk in the dream world. So now it's like the times that they knock me out, it's almost like I'm going back. It's almost like I'm being recalled, not to the death, but to the teachings, to whatever I was learning, whatever they showed me then is being reintroduced to me now. And it's all of the good spiritual white light walking. I mean, it's all really good stuff. There is not a piece of negative in there. Come to think of it, even there are times when if I start to go heading in then negative direction, like, well, that really pissed me off about the priest and the thing, slap me upside the back of the head and go, stop it now. Shame on you. You're supposed to be of higher learning, and you're supposed to be the grown-up in the room, Dave. That's true. So there's other things that need to be discussed, and I'm not even going to look at the time, but it's probably over 3 hours. But I love you guys, I really do, and my butt cramps are really starting to kick in. So let me say, a near-death experience, right? Positive, nature spirits and higher spirits, sleeps. It finds clarity in a hall of another stare and hallucinate. Absolutely. But you know what? It's like I have taken many, 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 many different kinds of hallucinogens. And my favorite were mushrooms because they were natural and pure. And I could, eat one or two of a particular size. I'd go pick them myself. So I had control of the entire situation. And with that, I also learned to speak mushroom. I know. I used to be able to speak mushrooms. When I wanted to find mushrooms, when no one else had them, I could go to certain fields and ask the mushrooms, where are you? And I would be led in a particular direction. I only got skunked once out of like 20 or 30 times into going in these fields. I only got skunked one time, couldn't find a mushroom. And we went back the next day, and it was like I was standing right over a couple of them. And my friend at the time said, you know what? We found a little tiny button when we first got into this field. And by the time we got back to where we normally find the good ones, we were so freaking high. And this was like in like 10 minutes. And all we did was just pop the top off of this little button. And Bob was like, another Bob. Hey, Bob. Hi, Bob. But so Bob was like, here, let's each eat a button. It'll help us find the mushrooms. Now, he and I had been mushroom hunting many times before, and I got what he was talking about. But after I ate the mushroom, and before we made it to the back edge of this field, which was, I don't know, like 50 acres deep kind of thing, really big field, woods and so forth, and we'd crisscross it anyway. But after taking that button, he was like, oh, my God, can you hear the mushrooms singing? And I was like, oh, Bob, now cut it out, And he was like, no, man. Oh, wow, these are some special. And they were some special mushrooms. Just little brown knobbies, not very big, potent as hell. But we're sitting there talking to one, and he's a couple feet away. And he's like, man, Dave, I swear I can hear him singing. There's a whole patch of them over this way. And he was just standing there. And Bob was a heavy-duty mushroom eater. So for him to eat one button and to get this high that quickly in less than 15 minutes was like, that was proof of what we were taking. It was like, whoa, Mother Nature did us a good turn. Lucy in the sky with a bunch of diamonds. And so I was like, Bob, what kind of song are the mushrooms singing? He goes, well, can't you hear the tune? It's sort of like, and I was like, well, what's it sound like? And now I'm getting off with him, right? I mean, it's like I'm like a couple of minutes behind him in reaching this peak. And so we're standing in this farmer's field, we're supposed to be like, laying cool. And now we're just standing there being messed up out of, oh my God. I've had some really good acid, but these particular mushrooms that day, to remember forever kind of deal. And so we're standing there and I was like, okay, so where do you hear? What's, are they humming a tune? And then we started snickering. What's the tune? What's the song? Are there any fairies or dwarves nearby? What, are there gnomes? He. So now we're starting to get silly ass and we're starting to see colors. And then I look over to where Bob had, like he said over there, now we got grass that's like, a mid calf high. And so we'd part and look down through the tops of the grass and see the mushrooms. And sometimes there'd be only a couple or one or two, and they'd be real close to the ground. So other people are like looking out in the middle of the field. We're in the high grass looking in the weird places, but that's where the really good ones are. So he goes, they're over there somewhere. Can't you hear them singing to us, Dave? And I was like, Bob, I think I can. Let me see if I can find them. So I was just like listening, and went to this area, and oh my God, there was a big cow patty, about yay big around kind of deal. And it was, grass growing up through it and pieces of corn dried, been there for a while, which is the best for the fungus to grow, by the way. And sometimes, and next to it was another clump that had kind of disappeared into the deep grass as fertilizer. But these mushrooms had grown in this little fairy clump. You had to part the grass to see it. There was no way. And the day before, I was standing right beside the damn thing, but I didn't look. I thought I did. But there were so many of these little clumps of grass, you could miss one, right? So I got skunked one day and then got so fried the next. But also there were some of them that grew up overnight. But anyway, this little clump, Bob was like, I'm going to take, and these things are like they're like this big around, little tall, perfect little things in this little psilocybin, if you looked at it from the up of, oh my God, it was like the perfect picture of what mushrooms should look like. So like a damn fool, we each they're just little tiny buttons. We'll take one. Oh, that one's a little dry. Well, we each had 2 or 3 of these little tiny buttons, and we're picking the others and putting them in our little satchel. Now we've already messed up. We haven't made it to the back of the field yet. We decided to keep going. There are people waiting on the road for us to come back. It's been like 2 hours now, and we've been standing in one position. We have no idea, listening to the singing mushrooms. And we were literally tiptoeing through the mushrooms that day. Tiptoe through the mushrooms, through the tulips. Oh my God. And, and we brought back sackfuls and handfuls for the party later on. But Bob and I, we were like, I don't know if I want to take any more. And it was just a little button. It should have been able to take 2 or 3 of them little buttons to get a decent high. Whatever the potency was on them, it was like way up there, like one of the best mushroom highs I've ever, because I can remember it. You see, that's how good it was. Lots of other times we picked mushrooms. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Oh no, this was like the bomb. But at the same time, we'd spent these hours out in the field communing with the mushrooms and listening to the fairies walk through a gnome or two. And we get back to the house, which by that time I was really homesteading this place. I mean, there was a travel trailer, and this part where I'm sitting right now was a little tiny part of the house where I've expanded the house over the years. And it's like, so I was really homesteading. Well, there weren't any lights, very few neighbors back 40 years ago. And you talk about seeing spirits in the woods. Oh my God, the shit we saw. And we both saw it. Bob would go, do you see that? Does it look like yeah? And is it over by the Does it look kind of, it's weird. Yeah, you see, So it's like, okay, we could have been sharing the same hallucination, or we both could have been seeing the same thing while hallucinating. I chose the second because other people came back in later on and verified the ghost and the beings and the spirits we saw, and they weren't tripping. They just happened to be have the veil. They were born with a veil over their eyes. There's some kind of thing about that. A lot of girls, women were born with what they call skin over their eyes or a veil or something. And these women, all the ones I've talked to, all have a second sight of sorts. And so there were women who've had the veil over their eyes, um, who saw these entities without tripping. And Bob and I both would look at each other and go, man, they described that shit right to the T. The dress, the collar, the thing, the little girl. Oh my God. Yeah, the spirits in the woods. So, but to the prescription drug thing, you'd literally be better off taking the wrong mushrooms than you would be to take some of the shit these pharmaceuticals are trying to put across to us. They bitch about, homeopathic, healing. I've been an herbalist for years. Mullion is one of the best overall drugs for herbal remedies. Sassafras. There are so many simple things that you can get. The bark off some cherry trees, and the inside bark, and oh my God, there's so many. Sheep sorrel in the springtime and different things. Uh, um, Poke salad, Annie. Poke salad, springtime, small leaves. Don't eat the berries, please. And if you do, only eat one or two of them. But they're really good for your ticker and helps your little thingy to come up, or big thingy if you're so in doubt. But these are things like poke salad. It's good. Why was poke salad? It's high in vitamin C. People in the old days that didn't have enough fruits and stuff, didn't have oranges, had scurvy by springtime. So they were going out and making poke salad and stuff like that because it was high in vitamin C. But as the plant grows, it gets toxic. You got to boil it. You got to be careful, but it's still high in vitamin C, especially the young leaves in the spring. Now, the time folks knew about this stuff. They made sassafras tea. They made, a root beer with the sassafras roots. I mean, oh my gosh, all that kind of stuff is gone. A lot of the plants down here, as I've been bitching about over the years, have been killed due to all the Roundup and the spraying and the wrong kind of agricultural practices. We can bring it all back, though. It's not that hard to do. And when Mother Nature has a chance, she comes back on her own. And when there are those of us who respect Mother Earth, who want her to heal, who wish her to heal, it will be done. We will be able to manifest things. I've been told several times, Dave, they can't kill you off because you got to hang around. I'm part of the cleanup crew because of my respect for Mother Earth. Now, they got to fix my lower back. That's part of the deal. But, I'm willing and I'm ready. Fix my lower back, guys. Okay. And you really got a deal. But okay, then make me supervisor for the younger folks. But I'm going to be here for the cleanup, and I'm proud of it. Don't know what that job is yet. I'll find out. So let's all be nice to each other. I know you folks are great. I love you all. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. It's almost 3:00 in the morning. No, it's 2:30. 2:30. So blessings all. Butt cramps are killing me. I'm good. I'm going to pee myself. I think I already have a spot. Little bit of humor of self-deprecation. Wait a minute. I'm going to go to the toilet for the self-deprecating part. Anyway, just saying. So I love you all. Blessings. Marie, have a good, let's see, it's nighttime here. It's evening there. I think that's right. You're in the evening time, right, Marie? Anyway, blessings to you. Have a great evening. And the rest of you have a safe Saturday. It's going to get to 47 tomorrow here in South Georgia. Ooh, our first really good cool night of the season. So looking forward to that just before Halloween. Be careful, everybody. Be safe. And as always, I know you guys will be compassion and kind to other folks. We need to just keep this goodness up. For all of us, we've all had our own troubles and tribulations. There's some of us going to still see shit happen in the future. We just need to take it in stride. Understand that Creator's always with us. Understand the angels are always with us. And when we believe in it and when we put our faith in those entities, without a religious book, by the way, and just understand that there are beings everywhere in the universe that are here to help us. I love you guys. Love to you, Rick and Delaney. I didn't see you on. Hello. And Marie, love to you. Hi, guy. I'm going to learn how to pronounce that last part of that, I swear. And whoever else is on, I don't know. QQ is on. Blessings, you guys. You bring me such humbleness and joy just by you guys hanging out with me. You have no idea. You make an old man proud. Thank you so much. So blessings, you fine folk. And so my ending prayer. All right. My prayer is that everyone will receive and accept and receive all the blessings and the healing from the universe and from Creator. My prayer is that everyone will be able to hear the angel messages and be able to hear the guidance from Creator, that it's pushing us and sending us all in the right direction. It's sending us all into the correct light, not the fake light, the one light that brings us all together and makes us all family. We are all family, and we understand that and know it. We understand this in the quantum. There are people out there who are trying to break us. We need to stay strong. They're going to try everything in their little handbook to defeat us. We need to stay strong. My prayer to Creator, all the angels, archangels, all the elders and all the ancients, and all of my ancestors, and all of your ancestors, our ancestors, have blessings upon us and help us when we need it. Thank you all so much, and blessings to everyone. And till next time. Bye, y'all.